a new journey through time's mysteries. As the sun sets over ancient ruins, casting long shadows across weathered stones, we stand at the threshold of a new adventure. The world is filled with enigmas, tales of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and feats that defy imagination. From deserts to jungles, mountains to islands, humanity's past whispers secrets waiting to be explored. Join us on Undiscovered Enigmas as we unravel 75 captivating mysteries, each a thread in the tapestry of our shared history. Let's begin with a puzzle that has awed scholars for centuries. How did ancient peoples, without machines, move massive stones to build monuments that endure? Step with us into the dust of ages, where human ingenuity meets the impossible, moving massive stones without machines by ancient civilizations. Picture a sun-scorched quarry, where workers chant in rhythm, their hands guiding a stone the size of a house across the earth. Across ancient civilizations, Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Andes, and Polynesia, people moved colossal blocks, some weighing 1,000 tons, without engines or wheels, erecting pyramids, temples, and statues that defy time. Dated to 3000 BCE, 1000 CE by archaeological finds, these feats, like Egypt's pyramids or Easter Island's Moai, reveal a mastery of engineering cloaked in mystery. Unlike the Beale cipher's hidden gold, this enigma is etched in stone, a testament to human will. As we trace their imagined tracks, we're drawn into a story of sweat, strategy, and secrets buried in the earth. The practice of moving massive stones spans continents, with Egypt's Great Pyramid, built around 2630 BCE per Herodotus' accounts, using 2.3 million limestone blocks, each 2 to 15 tons. In Peru, Sacsayhuaman's walls, dated to 1400 CE by Inca records, boast stones up to 200 tons, fitted without mortar. Easter Island's Moai, carved 1100 to 1500 CE per radiocarbon dating, weigh 80 tons, transported miles. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are tangible, their surfaces scarred by ancient tools, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're precise, each block a puzzle piece, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. Ancient societies, from pharaohs to Polynesian chiefs, thrived in hierarchical worlds, unlike the 1947 chaos of the Black Dahlia. Egypt's Old Kingdom, circa 2700 BCE, mobilized thousands at Giza, unlike Taos's quiet artists. The Inca, ruling 1400 CE Andes, used communal labor, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. These projects, often tied to divine rulers, united communities, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for eternity, these were public works. Their scale is shout of power, like the D.B. Cooper's bold heist. The stones themselves tell tales. Giza's limestone, quarried locally, was cut with copper chisels, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Sacsayhuaman's andesite, shaped with stone hammers, interlocks with precision, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Moai, carved from volcanic tuff, bear sled marks, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Some, like Baalbek's 1,000-ton trilithon, dated to 100 BCE, defy easy transport, unlike the shroud's linen. Methods, inferred from their patterns, suggest ropes, sleds, and ramps, unlike the diet law passes chaos. The process began in quarries, where workers, chanted flutes, split stone with wedges, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's vanishings. In Egypt, 2630 BC logs note 100,000 laborers dragging blocks on sleds, lubricated with water, unlike the Lonyu Cave's chisels. Inca masons, per 1500 CE chronicles, rolled stones on logs, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. Easter Islanders, using palm trunks, slid Moai upright, unlike the Copper Scroll's metal. The work, spanning months, demanded unity, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The method sparked debate, with many favoring human labor, as Egypt's 2550 BC ramps. Found at Giza show sled tracks, unlike the crystal skulls occult. Ropes, knotted from papyrus, pulled 50-ton obelisks per 1500 BC reliefs, unlike the shroud stains. Others suggest levers, as Inca walls' pivot marks imply, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Some propose lost techniques like acoustic levitation, tied Andean myths, but no tools, unlike the Oak Island's coins, support this. A few imagine divine aid, as Polynesian tales credit gods, yet calluses on workers' bones, unlike the Vinland map's ink tell of toil. Unlike Tut's curse, no magic fits, only ingenuity like the wow. Signals enigma. The stone's endurance owes to durable materials, like Giza's limestone, standing 4,500 years, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. Societies like the Inca fell by 1533 CE, yet their walls stand unlike Tikal's glyphs, preserved unlike Rongo Rongo's chants. Quarries, like Reno Raraku, hold half-carved moai, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The feats, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew awe, with 200 BC texts praising stones that walk. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, these are triumphs, like the Flannan Isles' lost light. Clues lie in the earth. Giza's 2630 BC sled, buried near Khufu, bears rope marks, unlike the Lonyu Cave's bronze. Sacsayhuaman's 1400 CE stones, with polished scars, fit like puzzles, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Moai trails, dated 1200 CE, show sled ruts, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 1500 BC papyrus, detailing 12 men moving a 60-ton statue, confirms muscle, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. Baalbek's quarry, with a 1,200-ton block, waits, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no single method explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The scale, unlike the Vinland map sheet, awes, while ancient limits, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscure details. Egyptian tales from 2000 BC speak of God's lifting stone, but offer no plans, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but wisdom, like the wow. Signals note. The legacy of these stones is their silent strength. Unlike the D.B. Cooper's fleeting theft, they show civilization's reach. Their blocks a spark of marvel. For archaeologists, they're a craft unveiled. For dreamers, a testament to will, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their movement, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a monument to hands that shape the past. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. In forgotten scripts, ancient tongues lie silent, their meanings locked in time. Ancient languages that remain undeciphered. Imagine holding a clay tablet, its surface etched with symbols that once carried the voices of a lost people, now silent under the weight of centuries. Across ancient civilizations, from the Mediterranean to the Indus Valley, scripts like Linear A, the Indus script, and Rongorongo defy translation. Their meanings locked in time, dated to 2500 BCE, 1800 CE by archaeological finds. These undeciphered languages, inscribed on stone, wood, and clay, guard secrets of cultures long vanished. Unlike the massive stones moved by ancient hands, these are delicate traces. They're mystery in the mind rather than muscle. As we trace their imagined glyphs, we're drawn into a tale of lost words, hidden stories, and tongues that whisper beyond our reach. The enigma of undeciphered languages spans continents, with Linear A used by Crete's Minoans around 1800 to 1450 BC per Knossos tablets, featuring 90 syllabic signs. The Indus script, found in Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, dated 2600 to 1900 BCE by seals, boasts 400 pictographs. Rongo from Easter Island, etched on with circa 1700 to 1860 CE per radiocarbon dating, has 120 glyphs. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly log, these are tangible, their surfaces worn by time, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling designs, they're compact, each sign a puzzle, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. Ancient societies, from Minoan traders to Polynesian priests, thrived in vibrant worlds, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Crete's 1800 BCE palaces, like Knossos, buzz with commerce, unlike Taos's desert calm. The Indus Valley, circa 2500 BCE, housed urban hubs, unlike the Flannan Isles' isolation. Easter Island's Rapa Nui, by 1700 CE, wove oral tales, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. These scripts, often tied to elites or rituals, were cultural anchors, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, seal for kings, they were tools of trade or faith, their silence a cultural wound, like the D.B. Cooper's vanish. The scripts themselves are diverse. Linear A's clay tablets, 3 to 5 inches, bear signs like axe or cup, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Indus seals, 1-inch squares of steatite, show animals in grids, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Rongorongo's wooden planks, carved with birdmen, use Bustropheedon style, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Some, like Etruscan, partially decoded by 600 BC epitaphs, hint at meaning unlike the shroud's linen. Their creation with styluses or chisels demanded precision, unlike the diet law passes chaos. The writing emerged in bustling societies as Minoans per 1700 BCE frescoes tracked goods, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Indus scribes in 2500 BC markets stamped seals for trade, unlike the Lonu Cave's chisels. Rapa Nui elders by 1800 CE oral tales carved Rongorongo for chants, unlike the Kailasa temple's reliefs. The act, often sacred, bound communities, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. Their loss, as empires fell, left glyphs orphaned, unlike the Tamam Shidkase's solitude. The script silence sparks theories, with many believing Linear A holds Minoan trade logs, as 1800 BC tablets list goods, unlike the Crystal Skulls occult. Its link to Linear B, decoded as Greek, suggests a syllabary, unlike the shroud stains. Others see Indus script as proto-writing, like 2600 BCE symbols for clans, not language, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Rongorongo, per 1860 missionary notes, may record genealogies, but no key, unlike the Oak Islands coins, unlocks it. Some propose non-linguistic signs, like tallies, yet complexity, unlike the Vinland map's ink, argue speech. A few imagine ritual codes as Minoa libation signs suggest, but no chants, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, survive. Unlike Tut's curse, no magic seals them, only time's veil like the wow. Signals mystery. Their undeciphered state owes to lost context, as Minoan Crete fell by 1400 BC, unlike Mahabharata's tides. The Indus Valley, abandoned by 1900 BC, left no bilingual key, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo's chants. Rapa Nui's elders, decimated by 1860 CE slavers, took knowledge, unlike the Iron Pillar script. Excavations, like 1900 Knossos finds, yield fragments, unlike the Nazca Line's plain. The scripts, unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, guard culture, not crime, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues hide in the signs. Linear A's 1800 BC KURO tablet, meaning total, hints at accounting, unlike the Lonu Cave's bronze. Indus seals with 2600 BC unicorn motifs suggest trademarks, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Rongorongos 1800 CE bird glyphs per oral tales tie to creation myths, unlike the crystal skulls quartz. A 700 BCE Etruscan gold pen, with partial words, Nir's meaning, unlike the copper scrolls caves. Knossos' 1400 BC clay, baked by fire, preserves, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no Rosetta Stone unlocks them, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The script's brevity, unlike the Vinland map's map, limits clues, while ancient tongues, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, vanished. Cretan tales from 1600 BC speak of God's writing, but offer no keys, only awe, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but voices, like the wow, signals note. The legacy of these scripts is their silent song. Unlike the D.B. Cooper's fleeting theft, they show minds weaving meaning. Their signs a spark of intellect. For scholars, they're a lock unturned. For dreamers, a bridge to the past, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their words, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to tongues that shape forgotten worlds. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. In ancient rites, strange ceremonies unfold, their purposes cloaked in shadow. Ancient rituals that are difficult to understand. Imagine standing in a torchlit cave, where shadows dance on stone walls and a circle of robed figures chant in a tongue long forgotten, their hands raise unseen forces. Across ancient civilizations, Mesopotamia, Mesoamerica, and Europe, rituals like human sacrifices, sacred dances, and offerings to gods leave traces in bones, altars, and carvings, yet their meanings elude us. Dated to 3000 BCE, 1000 CE by archaeological finds, these ceremonies, from Aztec blood rites to Celtic bog burials, weave a tapestry of faith and mystery. Unlike the silent scripts of undeciphered languages, these are acts of devotion, their purpose shrouded in time. As we step into their imagined sanctuaries, we're drawn into a tale of belief, sacrifice, and secrets carved in the earth. The enigma of ancient rituals spans cultures, with Mesopotamia's 2500 BC ziggurat offerings, per Uruk tablets, involving sheep and incense for Inanna. In Mesoamerica, Aztec sacrifices, dated to 1400 to 1500 CE by Tenochtitlan codices, saw 20,000 hearts offered yearly. Europe's bog bodies, like Denmark's Talon Man, dated to 400 BCE by radiocarbon, were strangled and sunk in peat. Unlike the Mary Celeste empty decks, these are visceral, their relics stained by time, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're intimate, each act of prayer, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. Ancient societies, from Sumerian priests to Maya kings, thrived in spiritual worlds, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Uruk's 3000 BCE temples, bustling with devotees, contrast Taos's quiet artists. The Aztecs, ruling 1400 CE Mexico, tie blood to cosmic order, unlike the Flannan Isles' isolation. Celtic tribes, by 500 BCE, revered bogs as gateways, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. These rituals, often led by elites bound communities, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, they were public acts, their mystery a cultural echo, like the D.B. Cooper's heist. The ritual's remnants are haunting. Uruk's 2500 BC altars, layered with ash, hold clay cups, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Tenochtitlan's 1500 CE Tzimpantli, a skull rack, bore 130,000 bones, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Talon Man's 400 BC rope, knotted around his neck, lies in peat, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Some, like 2000 BCE Indus Valley fire pits, hinted offerings, unlike the shroud's linen. Their settings, temples, pyramids, marshes, frame devotion, unlike the diet law passes chaos. The ceremonies unfolded in sacred spaces as Sumerians, per 2500 BC seals. Burn myrrh at dawn, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Aztecs in 1500 CE codices dance atop pyramids, hearts carved out, unlike the Lonu Cave's chisels. Celts, by 400 BC oral tales, drown victims in bogs to appease spirits, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. The axe, often annual, united tribes, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. Their purpose, tied to gods or seasons, faded with empires, unlike the Temam Shikasa's solitude. The ritual's meaning sparked debate, with many seeing cosmic balance, as Aztec 1500 CE texts link sacrifice to sun cycles, unlike the Crystal Skulls occult. Blood, per 2000 BC Mesopotamian hymns, please deities, unlike the shroud stains. Others view social control as Maya 800 CE Steely Show King's leading rites, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Bog bodies, per 400 BCE finds, may be punishments, yet jewelry suggests honor, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose fertility, as Indus 2500 BCE figurines tie to crops, but no texts, unlike the Vinland map's ink, clarify. A few imagine shamanic trances, as 1000 BCE Siberian petroglyphs depict dancers, yet no chants, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, remain. Unlike Tut's curse, no magic explains, only fates pull, like the wow. Signals mystery. Their obscurity owes to lost voices, as Sumer fell by 2000 BC, unlike Mabliparum's tides. The Aztecs, toppled by 1521 CE, left codices but no priests, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Celtic rites, erased by 100 CE Roman rule, left bodies, unlike the Iron Pillar script. Finds, like 1900 CE Chichen Itza cenotes, yield skulls, unlike the Nazca Line's plane. The rituals, unlike the Black Dahlia's crime, embody worship, not wrath, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues lie in the relics. Uruk's 2500 BC clay cones, inscribed with offering, mark devotion, unlike the Lonu Cave's bronze. Tenochtitlan's 1500 CE obsidian knives, bloodstained, cut hearts, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Talin's 400 BC stomach, with barley gruel, suggests a last meal, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 2000 BCE Indus seal, showing a horned deity, hints at rites, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. Chichen Itza's 900 CE cenote, with jade, preserves gifts, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no guide decodes their intent, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The ritual's strangeness, unlike the Vinland map's map, defies us, while ancient beliefs, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, vanished. Sumerian tales from 2000 BC speak of gods drinking blood, but offer no rites, only awe, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but meaning, like the wow. Signals note. The legacy of these rituals is their sacred weight. Unlike the D.B. Cooper's fleeting theft, they show souls reaching for eternity. Their altars a spark of devotion. For archaeologists, they're a window to faith. For dreamers, a dance of the divine, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their purpose, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to hearts that sought the stars. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. In a vanished valley, the civilization fades, its cities silent under the dust of time. The Indus Valley civilization and its sudden disappearance. Imagine wandering the sunlit streets of an ancient city, where clay seals gleam in bustling markets, and children splash in a great communal bath under the watchful eyes of brick towers. The Indus Valley civilization, flourishing in modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, built urban marvels like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, thriving from 3300 to 1900 BCE. By 1700 BCE, dated by pottery and seal finds, the sophisticated society vanished, its cities buried under dust, leaving no trace of its people's fate. Unlike the enigmatic rituals of ancient priests, this is a civilization's silent end, its story etched in ruins. As we stroll its imagined avenues, we're drawn into a tale of order, mystery, and a culture that slipped away. The Indus Valley civilization emerged around 3300 BC, with cities like Harappa, discovered in 1921, and Mohenjo-daro, unearthed in 1922, dated by radiocarbon at 2600 to 1900 BCE. Housing 50,000 residents, these cities boasted grid layouts, baked brick homes, and communal wells. By 1900 BCE, trade seals dwindled, and by 1700 BCE, sites were abandoned per excavation records. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are vast ruins. Their bricks cracked by time, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're structured, each street a plan, like the Taoism's unseen pulse. The Indus world, circa 2600 BCE, was a hub of trade, unlike the 1947 chaos of the Black Dahlia. Harappa's markets, per 2500 BC seals, swapped cotton with Mesopotamia, unlike Taus's quiet artists. Mohenjo-daro's Great Bath, 12 meters long, suggests communal rights, unlike the Flannan Isles' isolation. Its people, farmers and artisans, live without kings, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. The civilization, egalitarian per grave finds, fostered unity, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for eternity, these were living cities, their fall a cultural shadow, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The Indus cities are architectural feats. Mohenjo-daro's 2500 BC citadel, with mud brick walls, overlooks streets 10 meters wide, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Harappa's granaries, 50 meters long, stored barley, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Seals 1-inch steatite squares bear unicorns and script, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Wells 10 meters deep that every block, unlike the shroud's linen. The ruins, with no palaces, suggest equality, unlike the Diet Law passes grim scene. The collapse unfolded by 1900 BCE, as Harappa's 2000 BCE pottery grew sparse, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's swift losses. Mohenjo-daro streets, per 1800 BC silt layers, filled with debris, unlike the Longu Cave's chisels. Trade, per 1900 BCE Mesopotamian texts, waned, unlike the Kailasa temple's reliefs. Residents, leaving beads and tools, moved east, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The end, gradual yet complete buried cities, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The disappearance sparks theories, with many citing the Sarasvati rivers drying, per 2000 BC sediment studies, starving farms, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Drought, per 1900 BC pollen records, parched fields, unlike the shroud stains. Others see invasion, as 1800 BC skeletons show trauma, yet no armies, unlike the Rosetta Stone's decrees, remain. Trade shifts, per 1900 BCE Persian Gulf finds, may have isolated cities, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose disease, as 2000 BC graves hold few young, but no plague pits, unlike the Vinland map's ink, appear. A few imagine social strife, yet orderly ruins, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, suggest calm. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only nature's shift, like the wow, signals mystery. The civilization then owes to its reliance on rivers, as 2000 BCE floods but Mohenjo-Daro's silt disrupted life, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. Its script, undeciphered, hides clues, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1920s Harappa digs, found no battles, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The ruins, unlike the Nazca Line's plain, drew 1800s awe, with Asiatic society notes calling them ghost cities. Unlike the Black Dahlia's crime, this is a culture's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the dust. Harappa's 2000 BCE seals, with fewer inscriptions, hint at decline, unlike the Lonyu Cave's bronze. Mohenjo-Daro's 1900 BCE wells, silted, marked drought, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1800 BCE skeleton, with a cracked skull, suggests violence, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. Lothal's 1900 BCE dock, empty, shows trade's end, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. The Great Bath's 2000 BCE cracks, per excavation, tell of neglect, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The civilization scale, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1900 BC shifts, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscure truth. Local tales from 1800s Punjab speak of cities of giants, but offer no graves, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but answers, like the wow. Signals note, the Indus Valley's legacy is its silent grace. Unlike the D.B. Cooper's fleeting theft, it shows a people crafting order, their bricks a spark of ingenuity. For archaeologists, it's a lost world. For dreamers, a city of dreams, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its fall, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a civilization that danced with time. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. Beneath those same streets, clever drains weave, their craft a riddle of ancient skill. The sophisticated drainage systems of the Indus Valley civilization. Imagine walking the orderly streets of an ancient city, where rainwater gurgles softly through hidden channels, whisked away to keep homes dry and streets clean. The Indus Valley civilization, thriving from 3300 to 1900 BCE in modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, crafted drainage systems in cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro that rival modern engineering. Dated to 2600 to 1900 BCE by excavation finds, these networks of brick-lined sewers and covered drains reveal society obsessed with hygiene and urban planning. Unlike the vanished cities of the Indus, these drains endure, a testament to ingenuity beneath the dust. As we follow their imagined flows, we're drawn into a tale of precision, foresight, and a civilization that mastered water's path. The drainage systems were uncovered during 1920s excavations, with Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BC sewers, found in 1922, showing baked brick channels 12 inches wide. Harappa, dug in 1921, revealed drains beneath streets, dated to 2600 BC by pottery. These systems, serving 50,000 residents, channeled waste and rainwater to rivers per 2000 BCE silt deposits. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are tangible, their bricks smoothed by water like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're practical, each pipe a plan, like the Taushum's unseen pulse. The Indus Valley, circa 2600 BCE, was a fertile plain, unlike the 1947 chaos of the Black Dahlia. Mohenjo-Daro citizens, per 2500 BCE seals, traded grain, unlike Taus's quiet artists. Harappa's wells, 10 meters deep, supplied homes, unlike the Flannan Isles stormy rocks. The people, artisans and farmers, lived communally, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. These drains, serving all, reflect equality, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, they were civic works, their craft a cultural hum, like the D.B. Cooper's Leap. The drainage systems are marvels. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BC sewers, with 2-foot brick vaults, run 1 mile under streets, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Harappa's 2600 BCE drains, slope 1 hour 60 minutes, have limestone covers, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Homes, with 2000 BC latrines, fed clay pipes to street sewers, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Wells, 20 per block, ensured flow, unlike the shroud's linen. The network, with manholes, suggests maintenance, unlike the diet log passes grim scene. The systems were built as cities rose, with Harappa's 2700 BCE streets laid over drains, per excavation layers, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Mohenjo-Daro's 2600 BCE bricks, fired at 800 degrees Celsius, line channels, unlike the Longu Cave's chisels. Workers, per 2500 BCE tool marks, cut precise slopes, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. The network, built over decades, served all, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. Its decline by 1900 BCE saw silted pipes, unlike the Tamam Shikesa Solitude. The system's purpose sparks theories, with many seeing hygiene as 2500 BC latrines per Mohenjo-Daro finds tie to baths, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Cleanliness, per 2600 BCE figurines of washing women, was cultural, unlike the shroud stains. Others proposed flood control, as 2000 BCE monsoons, like those flooding Harappa, demanded drainage, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Social order, per 2500 BC uniform bricks, suggests civic planning, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some see ritual purity, as the Great Bath's 2600 BC shrine links water to faith, but no texts, unlike the Vinland map's ink, confirm. A few imagine trade, with drains clearing market waste, yet no records, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, prove it. Unlike Tut's curse, no magic flows, only practical genius, like the wow, signals mystery. The enigma's endurance lies in their craft, as 2600 BC bricks, unlike Mablipuram's tides, resist decay. The Indus fall by 1900 BCE, per 1920s digs hit drains like Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations like 1922 Mohenjo-Daro reveal 3 miles of sewers, but no plans, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The systems, unlike the Nazca Line's pomp, drew 1920s awe, with archaeological survey notes praising modernity. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, these are triumphs, like the Flannan Isles' lost light. Clues lie in the clay. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BC manhole, 3 feet wide, shows upkeep, unlike the Longu Cave stone. Harappa's 2600 BCE drain slope, per 1-inch fall, matches riverbeds, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 2000 BC latrine with a terracotta pipe fed sewers, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. Lothal's 2500 BCE dock drain, per excavation, cleared silt, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1900 BCE silt layer, clogging channels, marks neglect, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no records detail their design, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The system's foresight, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1900 BC collapse, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures. Punjab tales from 1800 speak of cities drinking rain, but offer no blueprints, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but craft, like the wow. Signals note, the drainage system's legacy is their hidden flow. Unlike the Indus law cities, they show a people taming water, their pipes a quiet spark of brilliance. For archaeologists, they're a planner's dream. For seekers, a proof of care, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their skill, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to hands that shaped a cleaner world. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. In those same cities, a script lies silent, its symbols a riddle no key can unlock. The undeciphered script of the Indus Valley people. Imagine sifting through the ruins of an ancient market, where a small, square seal catches the light, its surface carved with symbols that once held the pulse of a thriving city. The Indus Valley civilization, flourishing from 3300 to 1900 BC in what is now Pakistan and northwest India, left behind a script of over 400 mysterious signs, etched on seals, pottery, and tablets in cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Dated to 2600 to 1900 BCE by archaeological finds, this undeciphered script guards the voices of a lost people, its meaning as elusive as a desert mirage. Unlike the intricate drains that channel water beneath Indus streets, these are whispers of thought locked in stone. As we trace their imagined glyphs, we're drawn into a tale of silent words, hidden lives, and a script that refuses to speak. The Indus script was first uncovered in the 1920s with Harappa's 2600 BCE steatite seals, found in 1921, bearing pictographs like unicorns and grids. Mohenjo-daro, excavated in 1922, revealed 2500 BCE tablets with rows of signs, some resembling fish or combs. Over 4,000 inscriptions, mostly 5 to 10 characters, survive per 1920s archaeological survey records. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly log, these are tangible, their surfaces worn by time, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling designs, they're tiny, each seal a riddle, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The Indus Valley, circa 2600 BCE, was a network of urban hubs, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Harappa's 2500 BC markets, per seal finds, traded with Mesopotamia, unlike Taos's quiet artists. Mohenjo-daro's 2600 BC Great Bath hosted rites, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. Its people, merchants and potters, live without kings per egalitarian graves, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. The script, used by scribes, bound trade, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for eternity, these were tools of daily life. Their silence a cultural wound, like the D.B. Cooper's vanish. The script's artifacts are delicate. Harappa's 2600 BCE seals, 1-inch squares, bear 5 to 20 signs, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Mohenjo-daro's 2500 BCE copper tablets, 2 inches long, show script beside bulls, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Pottery, with 2000 BC graffiti, holds single glyphs, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Some signs, like jar, appear 100 times per 1920s catalogs, unlike the shroud's linen. Their carving with flint tools demanded skill, unlike the diet log passes chaos. The script's use began as cities grew, with Harappa's 2700 BCE seals, per excavation layers, marking goods, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Mohenjo-daro's 2600 BCE scribes, per tool finds, etched in workshops, unlike the Longyu Cave's chisels. The signs, often right to left, per 2500 BC seal where served trade, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. By 1900 BCE, inscriptions faded, unlike the Copper Scroll's metal. Its purpose, tied to markets, vanished with the cities, unlike the Tamam Shikha's solitude. The script's mystery sparks theories, with many seeing a language as 2600 BCE sign patterns, per 1920 studies, suggest syllables, unlike the crystal skull's tales. Its 400 signs, too many for an alphabet, fit a logographic system, unlike the shroud stains. Others propose proto-writing, with 2500 BCE seals as clan marks, not speech, like tally sticks, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Some suggest ritual use, as 2600 BC seals near Mohenjo-Daro's Great Bath hinted prayers, but no chants, unlike the Oak Island's coins, emerge. A few see trade codes, with signs for weights, per 2500 BCE scale finds, yet no key, unlike the Vinland map's ink, unlocks them. Others imagine a mix, blending names and tallies, but the brevity, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, hides intent. Unlike Tut's curse, no magic seals it, only time's veil, like the wow, signals mystery. The script silence endures due to its isolation, as the Indus fell by 1900 BC, per 1920s digs, leaving no bilingual key, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. Its signs, unlike Tikal's glyphs, lack context, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1922 Mohenjo-Daro, yield 1,500 seals, but no guide, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The script, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1920s awe, with Asiatic society calling it a lost tongue. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, it guards culture, not crime, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the stone. Harappa's 2600 BCE seal, with a fish sign, repeats on trade goods, unlike the Lanyu Cave bronze. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BCE tablet, with a tree glyph, ties the seals, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 2000 BCE potsherd, scratched with comb, suggests daily use, unlike the crystal skull's quartz. Lothal's 2500 BCE seal, with paired signs, hints at grammar, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1900 BC grave, with a seal, marks its end, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no Rosetta Stone decodes it, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The script's complexity, unlike the Vinland map's map, defies, while 1900 BC collapse, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures. Punjab tales from 1800 speak of marks of ancients, but offer no keys, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but voices, like the wow, signals note. The Indus script's legacy is its quiet riddle. Unlike the Indus drain's practical flow, it shows minds weaving meaning. It signs a spark of intellect. For scholars, it's a lock unturned. For dreamers, a bridge to the past, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its words, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a people who wrote in silence. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. In those same cities Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro fade, their streets empty under the weight of time. The disappearance of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro cities. Picture a bustling city where traders barter under the shade of mud brick walls, their voices mingling with the clink of clay seals, only for silence to claim it all, leaving empty streets under a desert sky. The cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, jewels of the Indus Valley civilization from 3300 to 1900 BCE in modern-day Pakistan, housed tens of thousands before vanishing by 1700 BCE, dated by pottery and sealed declines in archaeological records. These urban hubs, with their grid streets and communal baths, faded without a trace of their people's fate. Unlike the undeciphered script that guard their words, this is the enigma of their absence, a civilization's heartbeat stilled. As we wander their imagined ruins, we're drawn into a tale of prosperity, mystery, and cities lost to time. The disappearance of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro was uncovered in the 1920s, with Harappa's 2600 BC ruins excavated in 1921, showing abandoned homes dated by broken pottery. Mohenjo-Daro, found in 1922, revealed 2500 BCE streets buried in silt, with trade seals absent by 1900 BCE, per archaeological survey logs. By 1700 BCE, both cities stood empty, their 50,000 residents gone, per 1920s dig reports. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are vast, their bricks crumbling like the Rosetta Stone granite. Unlike the Nazca Line sprawling art, they're orderly, each block a memory, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The Indus Valley, circa 2600 BCE, was a fertile cradle, unlike the 1947 shadows of the Black Dahlia. Harappa's 2500 BCE granaries stored wheat per seal finds, unlike Taos's quiet artists. Mohenjo-Daro's 2600 BC Great Bath, 12 meters wide, hosted gatherings, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. Its people, farmers and scribes, shared wealth, per egalitarian graves, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. The city's hubs of trade fostered unity, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, these were lived spaces, their loss a cultural echo, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The city's ruins are striking. Harappa's 2600 BC citadel, with 10-meter walls, looms over streets, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BCE homes, 2 stories high, have latrines, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Seals 1-inch steatite squares lie scattered, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Wells 20 per block stand dry, unlike the shroud's linen. The absence of palaces, per 1920s digs, hints at equality, unlike the diet law of Pass's grim scene. The decline began by 2000 BCE, as Harappa's 1900 BC pottery grew crude, per excavation layers, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's swift losses. Mohenjo-Daro's 1900 BCE drains, per silt finds, clogged with debris, unlike the Longyu Cave's chisels. Trade, per 1900 BCE Mesopotamian texts, faded, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. Residents, leaving tools and beads, moved east, per 1800 BCE village finds, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The end, per 1700 BCE abandonment, buried streets, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The disappearance sparks theories, with many citing environmental shifts as 2000 BC droughts, per pollen records, parched fields, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. The Sarasvati River's drying, per 1900 BC sediments, starved farms, unlike the shroud stains. Others see violence, as 1800 BCE Mohenjo-Daro skeletons show trauma, yet no battle scars, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts, remain. Trade collapse, per 1900 BCE Persian Gulf seals, isolated cities, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose disease, as 2000 BC graves lack youth, but no plague pits, unlike the Vinland map's ink, appear. A few imagine social unrest, yet orderly ruins, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, suggest calm. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only time's weight, like the wow, signals mystery. The city's erasure owes to their reliance on rivers, as 2000 BC floods, per Mohenjo-Daro's silt, disrupted life, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The Indus fall, per 1920s digs, left no chronicles, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations like 1921 Harappa found no fires, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The ruins, unlike the Nazca Line's plain, drew 1920s awe, with Asiatic society notes calling them cities of dust. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, This is a culture's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the earth. Harappa's 1900 BC granary, half empty. Per grain traces mark scarcity, unlike the Long Cave stone. Mohenjo-Daro's 1800 BC street, with a fallen brick, shows neglect, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1900 BCE skeleton, with a fractured skull, hints at strife, unlike the crystal skull's quartz. Lothal's 1900 BC dock, per silt, stood idle, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1800 BCE seal, broken in a home, tells of flight, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The city's grandeur, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1900 BC shifts, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscure truth. Punjab tales from 1800 speak of ghosts in the bricks, but offer no graves, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but answers, like the wow. Signals note, the legacy of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro is their silent order. Unlike the Indus script's lock words, they show a people building dreams. Their streets a spark of harmony. For archaeologists, they're a lost world. For dreamers, a city of echoes, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their fall, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to homes that time reclaimed. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. Beyond those cities, a river's drying veins spell the end, its flow a riddle of loss. The drying up of the Sarasvati River and its impact on the Indus civilization's decline. Imagine standing on the banks of a once mighty river, its waters now a memory, replaced by cracked earth stretching toward the horizon. The Indus Valley civilization, thriving from 3300 to 1900 BCE in modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, depended on the Sarasvati River, a vital lifeline for cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. By 1900 BCE, dated by sediment and pollen records, this river dwindled, leaving fields barren and contributing to the civilization's decline. Unlike the silent streets of Harappa's abandoned cities, this is a story of a river's fade, a pulse that slowed until it stopped. As we trace its imagined currents, we're drawn into a tale of life, loss, and a land that turned to dust. The Sarasvati's drying was pieced together from 1920s excavations, with Harappa's 2600 BCE wells, found in 1921, showing lower water tables by 1900 BCE per sediment layers. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BCE docks, excavated in 1922, held silted channels, dated to 2000 BCE by archaeological survey reports. Ancient texts like the 1500 BC Rig Veda praise a mighty Sarasvati, but by 1900 BC its flow weakened, per 1920s riverbed finds. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, this is a landscape, its sands whispering, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, it's a vanished vein, like the Taoshum's unseen pulse. The Indus Valley, circa 2600 BCE, was a fertile plain, unlike the 1947 shadows of the Black Dahlia. Harappa's 2500 BCE fields, per grain finds, fed thousands, unlike Taosa's quiet artists. Mohenjo-Daro's 2600 BC Great Bath relied on water, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. Its people, farmers and traders, shared prosperity per egalitarian graves, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. The river, sustaining crops, bound cities, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a lifeline for all, its loss a cultural wound, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The Sarasvati's traces are subtle. Its 2000 BC riverbed, 10 miles wide near Harappa, holds dry pebbles, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Mohenjo-Daro's 1900 BCE wells, 10 meters deep, show silted bases, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Harappa's 2600 BCE canals, per excavation, fed fields, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Pollen, dated to 2000 BCE, shows sparse grasses, unlike the shroud's linen. The river's path, now desert, marks a shift, unlike the diet law Pass's grim scene. The drying unfolded by 2000 BCE, as Harappa's 1900 BCE crops, per charred seeds, shrank, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Mohenjo-Daro's 1900 BC docks, per silt layers, stood idle, unlike the Lonyu Cave's chisels. Settlements, per 1800 BC village finds, moved east, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. The river, per 2000 BC sediment, lost tributaries, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. Its end gradual, parched the land, unlike the Tamam-Shud Case's solitude. The drying's role sparks theories, with many citing climate shifts as 2000 BC monsoon failures. Per pollen records, reduced flow, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Tectonic shifts per 1900 BCE fall traces, diverted tributaries, unlike the shroud stains. Others see overuse as 2600 BCE canals, per Harappa digs, drain the river, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Migration, per 1800 BC eastern sites, followed water, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose flooding, as 2000 BC Mohenjo-Daro silt suggests deluges, yet drought followed, unlike the Vinland map's ink. A few imagine ritual neglect, as 2500 BC river hymns faded, but no texts, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, confirm. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only nature's turn, like the wow, signals mystery. The river's loss endures due to its scale, as 2000 BC beds, per 1920 surveys, span 300 miles, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The Indus Fall, per 1922 digs, left no flood tales, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1921 Harappa, found dry wells, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The river, unlike the Nazca Line's plain, drew 1920s awe, with Asiatic society notes calling it a ghost stream. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a land's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the sand. Harappa's 1900 BC canal, per brick traces, lies choked, unlike the Lonyu Cave stone. Mohenjo-Daro's 2000 BCE well, with clay's shards, mark scarcity, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1900 BCE potsherd, with a river glyph, hints at memory, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. Lothal's 1900 BC dock, per silt, lost purpose, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1800 BCE village, with Indus beads, shows flight, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single shift explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The river's might, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1900 BC changes, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscure truth. Punjab tales from 1800 speak of a river that fled, but offer no beds, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but life, like the wow. Signals note, the Sarasvati's legacy is its quiet flow. Unlike Harappa's lost streets, it shows a land nurturing dreams, its waters a spark of sustenance. For archaeologists, it's a vanished vein. For dreamers, a river of memory, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its drying, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a civilization that leaned on its waves. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. In that same valley, shifting skies and unseen plagues weave a deeper tailed decline. Environmental shifts or epidemics contributing to the Indus decline. Imagine a once thriving valley where golden fields wither under a relentless sun, or where quiet homes fall silent as illness creeps through crowded streets. The Indus Valley civilization, flourishing from 3300 to 1900 BCE in modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, saw its cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro fade by 1700 BCE, dated by pottery and burial finds. Alongside the Sarasvati River's drying, environmental shifts like droughts and possible epidemics may have hastened this decline, leaving ruins where life once pulsed. Unlike the river's vanished flow, this is a tale of unseen forces, shaping a civilization's end. As we wander its imagined fields, we're drawn into a story of struggle, survival, and a land that turned against its people. The Indus decline's environmental and health clues emerged in the 1920s, with Harappa's 2600 BCE fields, excavated in 1921, showing 1900 BC pollen of sparse grass per archaeological survey records. Mohenjo-daro's 2500 BCE graves, found in 1922, held 1800 BC skeletons with sparse juvenile remains, hinting at stress. Droughts, per 2000 BCE sediment layers, parched the region, while 1900 BCE burial patterns suggest premature deaths. Unlike the Mary Celeste's ghostly decks, these are silent traces, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're subtle, each bone a whisper, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The Indus Valley, circa 2600 BCE, was a fertile hub, unlike the 1947 shadows of the Black Dahlia. Harappa's 2500 BC granaries, per wheat finds, fed thousands, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Mohenjo-daro's 2600 BC baths relied on wells, unlike the Flannan Isle's stormy rocks. Its people, farmers and traders, shared prosperity per egalitarian graves, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. The civilization, built on crops, faced nature's whims, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a communal world. Its collapse a shared wound, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The evidence is stark. Harappa's 1900 BCE fields, per soil samples, show salt crusts, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Mohenjo-daro's 1800 BC graves, with 40 skeletons, lacked children, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Canals, dated 2000 BC, lie dry, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Pollen, per 1900 BCE cores, shows desert plants, unlike the shroud's linen. Burials with few goods suggest hardship, unlike the diet law passes grim scene. The decline unfolded by 2000 BCE, as Harappa's 1900 BCE crops, per seed traces, dwindled, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Mohenjo-daro's 1900 BCE wells, per silt, ran low, unlike the Lanyu Cave's chisels. Villages, per 1800 BC eastern finds, grew as cities emptied, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. Burials, per 1900 BCE cemetery layers, rose in number, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The shift, slow but relentless, reshaped lives, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The causes spark theories, with many citing drought, as 2000 BC monsoon failures, per lake sediments, starved fields, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Salinization, per 1900 BC soil, ruined crops, unlike the shroud stains. Others propose epidemics, as 1800 BC skeletons, per bone thinning, suggest disease, yet no plague pits, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts, exist. Famine, per 1900 BCE sparse grains, weaken communities, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some see migration, as 1800 BC eastern sites hold Indus beads, but no mass graves, unlike the Vinland Maps Inc., remain. A few imagine social strain, yet orderly ruins, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, suggest calm. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only nature's toll, like the wow, signals mystery. The decline's roots lie in dependence, as 2600 BCE farms, per canal finds, leaned on rains, unlike Mablipuram's tides. The Indus fall, per 1920s digs, left no disease tales, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations like 1922 Mohenjo-Daro found thin bones, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The shifts, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1920s awe, with Asiatic society notes citing a land betrayed. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a people's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the earth. Harappa's 1900 BCE soil, per salt traces, marks drought, unlike the Lonyu cave stone. Mohenjo-Daro's 1800 BC grave, with a frail child, hints at sickness, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1900 BCE canal, per brick collapse, lies barren, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. Lothal's 1900 BCE field, per stunted seeds, shows hunger, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1800 BCE bead in an eastern village tells of flight, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single force explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The valley's bounty, unlike the Vinland Maps map, awes, while 1900 BCE trials, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscure truth. Punjab tales from 1800 speak of fields that wept, but offer no bones, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but survival, like the wow. Signals note, the Indus decline's legacy is its fragile thread. Unlike the Sarasvati's lost flow, it shows a people facing nature's wrath. Their field a spark of resilience. For archaeologists, it's a lesson in balance. For dreamers, a tale of endurance, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its causes, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a civilization tested by time. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant lands. In those same cities, no palaces rise, their absent a riddle of a rulerless world. Lack of palaces or monumental architecture, indicating no ruling elite in the Indus civilization. Imagine strolling through a city of baked brick homes, where every doorway looks much like the next and no grand palace towers above the orderly streets. The Indus Valley civilization, thriving from 3300 to 1900 BCE in modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, built urban centers like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, without the palaces, temples, or towering tombs common in other ancient societies. Dated to 2600 and 1900 BCE by excavation finds, this absence of monumental architecture suggests a society without a dominant ruling elite, a rarity among early civilizations. Unlike the environmental shifts that parched its fields, this is a mystery of social order, a culture that valued equality over hierarchy. As we wander its imagined lanes, we're drawn into a tale of balance, community, and a civilization that built without kings. The lack of palaces was noted in the 1920s, with Harappa's 2600 BC ruins, excavated in 1921, showing uniform homes, per archaeological survey records. Mohenjo-Daro, uncovered in 1922, revealed 2,500 BC grid streets, but no royal compounds, unlike Egypt's pyramids. Graves, dated to 2000 BCE, hold modest goods, with no elite burials, per 1920s dig reports. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are lived spaces, Their bricks even, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're practical, each house a testament, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The Indus Valley, circa 2600 BCE, was a fertile hub unlike the 1947 shadows of the Black Dahlia. Harappa's 2500 BC markets, Perseal finds, buzz with trade, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Mohenjo-Daro's 2600 BCE Great Bath, 12 meters wide, served all, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. Its people, artisans, and farmers shared resources per equal home sizes, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. The society, per urban planning, prized order, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a collective world. Its egalitarianism a cultural glow, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The city's layouts are telling. Harappa's 2600 BCE streets, 10 meters wide, lack grand facades, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BCE homes, 100 to 200 square feet, have identical drains, per excavation finds, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. The Great Bath with brick steps is civic, not royal, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Graves with clay pots show no gold, unlike the shroud's linen. The absence of temples, per 1920 surveys, contrasts Mesopotamia's ziggurats, unlike the Dyatlov Pass's grim scene. The society structure emerged by 2700 BCE, as Harappa's 2600 BCE grids, per bricklayers, housed equals, unlike the burials of ancient kings. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BCE wells, shared across blocks, per dig records, served all, unlike the Longyou Cave's chisels. Trade, per 2000 BCE seals, spread wealth evenly, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. By 1900 BCE, per sparse finds, order faded, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The system, per uniform ruins, held no crown, unlike the Tamamshid Case of Solitude. The absence of elite sparks theories, with many citing a council, as 2600 BC seals, per 1920 studies, show no royal titles, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Standardized bricks, per 2500 BCE measures, suggest collective effort, unlike the shroud stains. Others propose merchant rule, as 2600 BCE trade goods, per Mesopotamian finds, imply well shared, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Communal rights, per 2500 BCE Great Bath use, may have unified, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some see weak hierarchy, as 2000 BC graves vary slightly, but no palaces, unlike the Vinland map's ink, rise. A few imagine hidden elites, yet equal homes, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, argue otherwise. Unlike Tut's curse, no power cloaks it, only shared purpose, like the wow, signals mystery. The enigma's endurance lies in its contrast, as 2600 BC Indus cities, per 1920s digs, differ from Egypt's tombs, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The civilization's fall, per 1900 BC ruins, hid no thrones, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1922 Mohenjo-Daro, found no crowns, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The society, unlike the Nazca Line's plain, drew 1920s awe, with Asiatic society notes praising a kingless land. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a culture's quiet harmony, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the bricks. Harappa's 2600 BCE home, per floor plans, matches its neighbor, unlike the Longyou Cave stone. Mohenjo-Daro's 2500 BC bath, per public access, served all, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 2000 BC grave, with a clay cup, equals others, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. Lothal's 2500 BCE workshop, per tools, shows sharecraft, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1900 BCE seal, with no crown, marks equality, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no elite trace surfaces, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The society's balance, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1900 BC silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Punjab tales from 1800 speak of cities without lords, but offer no scepters, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but fairness, like the wow. Signals note, the Indus legacy is its quiet equality. Unlike the droughts that starred its fields, it shows a people sharing burdens, their homes a spark of unity. For archaeologists, it's a social puzzle. For dreamers, a vision of harmony, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its structure, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a world without kings. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant seas. In a sunken land, Atlantis gleams, its tale a riddle of myth and truth. The legend and reality of Atlantis, the sunken advanced civilization. Imagine a gleaming city rising from the sea, its marble halls adorned with gold, only to vanish beneath the waves in a single night, swallowed by the ocean's wrath. The legend of Atlantis, a sunken advanced civilization, was first penned by the Greek philosopher Plato around 360 BC, described in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias as a naval empire lost 9,000 years earlier. No archaeological trace confirms its existence, yet the tale, rooted in ancient texts, has captivated minds for centuries. Unlike the egalitarian streets of the Indus Valley, this is a myth of grandeur and ruin, blurring the line between story and truth. As we sail its imagined shores, we're drawn into a tale of ambition, catastrophe, and a city that may never have been. The Atlantis legend begins with Plato, who, per 360 BC manuscripts, described a utopian island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, larger than Libya and Asia combined. Its people, ruled by 10 kings, built temples and canals before divine punishment sank it, per Critias. No physical remains, dated or otherwise, have been found, unlike Harappa's 2600 BC bricks. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, this is a literary echo, preserved in parchment, like the Rosetta Stone granite. Unlike the Nazca Line sprawling art, it's a vision, vivid yet intangible, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The ancient Mediterranean, circa 360 BC, was a world of ideas, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Athens, Plato's home, debated justice and power, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. The Greeks, per 5th century BCE trade routes, knew distant seas, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. Atlantis, a cautionary tale, warned of hubris, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Its story, shared among scholars, shaped philosophy, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a myth for all, its mystery a cultural spark, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The legend details are vivid. Atlantis' 360 BCE texts describe concentric canals, 300 feet wide, and a central temple to Poseidon, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Its harbors, per Critias, held triremes, unlike the Pyrie Reis map's parchment. The island, with mountains and plains, grew exotic crops, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Its army, 10,000 chariots strong, rivaled Athens, unlike the shroud's linen. Yet no ruins match, unlike the Diatlov Pass's grim scene. The tale's origin lies in Plato's 360 BC dialogues, blending history and allegory, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. He claimed Egyptian priests told Solon of Atlantis, 600 BCE. Per Timaeus, unlike the Lanyu Cave's chisels. The story, per 4th century BCE scholars, served moral lessons, unlike the Kailasa temple's reliefs. Its sinking, tied to God's wrath, left no trace, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The myth, per 300 BCE copies, spread widely, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The reality of Atlantis sparks theories, with many seeing a myth as 360 BCE texts, per Plato's style, favor allegory, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Its details, like orichalcum metal, lack archaeological proof, unlike the shroud stains. Others propose a real place, like Thera, whose 1600 BC eruption buried Akrotiri, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Crete's Minoans, per 1700 BC Knossos ruins, inspired naval tales, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some suggest a Black Sea flood, per 5600 BCE sediment, but no cities, unlike the Vinland Maps Inc., fit. A few imagine distant lands, like Antarctica, yet number 9,000 BC ruins, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, exist. Unlike Tut's curse, no magic cloaks it, only story's power, like the wow, signals mystery. The legend's endurance owes to the lore, as 360 BCE texts, per 300 CE copies, inspire Rome, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. Its absence, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fuels dreams, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Searches, like 1800s Mediterranean dives, found no trace, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The tale, unlike the Nazca Line's plane, drew 19th century awe, with Atlantis books calling it lost glory. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a myth's quiet hold, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in words. Plato's 360 BCE Pillars of Hercules, per Gibraltar, sets a western sea, unlike the Lanyu Cave stone. Thera's 1600 BCE ash, per Santorini digs, buries homes, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Knossos' 1700 BCE frescoes, with ships, echo naval might, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 600 BCE Egyptian tale, per Herodotus, speaks of a sea city, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. The Atlantic's depths, per 1800s maps, hide no trace, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no ruins claim Atlantis, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The tale's grandeur, unlike the Vinland Maps map, awes, while 360 BC origins, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, blur truth. Greek tales from 300 BC speak of a city under waves, but offer no stones, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but dreams, like the wow. Signals note. Atlantis' legacy is its shimmering myth. Unlike the Indus kingless streets, it shows a dream of splendor. It spires a spark of imagination. For scholars, it's a philosopher's tale. For seekers, a lost world, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its truth, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a story that outlives stone. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant seas. In that same myth, debates over Atlantis' place weave a deeper riddle of time and tide. The existence and location of Atlantis debated for centuries. Picture a scholar hunched over ancient scrolls, tracing maps of seas and stars, chasing a city that may never stood on solid ground. The legend of Atlantis, first told by Plato in 360 BC, describes a sunken island of advanced people lost to the waves 9,000 years before his time. For centuries, thinkers, explorers, and dreamers have debated whether Atlantis existed and where its ruins might lie, with no archaeological trace to settle the question. Unlike the mythical grandeur of Atlantis' golden spires, this is a mystery of endless search, a puzzle woven from words and hope. As we sail through imagined debates, we're drawn into a tale of quest, doubt, and a city that haunts the mind. The debate over Atlantis' existence began with Plato's Timaeus and Critias, written around 360 BCE, per surviving manuscripts, describing an island beyond the Pillars of Hercules. By 300 CE, per Roman texts, scholars like Pliny question its reality, while medieval monks, per 1200 CE copies, saw it as allegory. No ruins, dated or otherwise, confirm it, unlike Harappa's 2600 BCE bricks. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, this is a textual shadow, preserved in ink like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, it's a concept, elusive yet vivid, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The ancient world, circa 360 BCE, was a tapestry of tales, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Athens, Plato's city, buzzed with philosophy, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. The Mediterranean, per 5th century BCE trade logs, linked distant shores, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. Atlantis, per Plato's dialogues, warned of pride, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Its debate, per 300 BCE Greek texts, stirred minds, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a story for all. Its enigma a cultural flame, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The debate's contours are diverse. Plato's 360 BC text place Atlantis west of Gibraltar with canals and temples, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. No wrecks, per 1800s dives, match its harbors, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Medieval maps, per 1300 CE, mark Atlantis in oceans, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Renaissance scholars, per 1500 CE letters, tied it to America, unlike the shroud's linen. Yet no site fits, unlike the Diet Law Pass's grim scene. The debate grew over time, as 300 CE Neoplatonists, per Proclus, called it myth, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. By 1400 CE, per Byzantine texts, it was a lost land, unlike the Lonu cave chisels. The 1600s, per Kircher's maps, sought in the Atlantic, unlike the Kailasa temple's reliefs. The 1800s, per Atlantis books, fueled hunts, unlike the Copper Scrolls medal. The search, per 1900s journals, persists like the Tamam Shikha's solitude. The existence of Atlantis sparks theories, with many seeing fiction, per 360 BCE Plato's allegorical style, teaching morals, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Number 9000 BCE cities, per archaeological records, support, unlike the shroud stains. Others propose Thera, per 1600 BCE Santorini ruins, as a sunken Minoan hub, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Crete, per 1700 BCE Knossos, boasts naval power, unlike the Oak Islands coins. Some suggest the Bahamas, per 1000 BCE Shallows, but no palaces, unlike the Vinland map's ink align. A few see a Black Sea flood, per 5600 BCE sediments, yet no artifacts, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, fit. Unlike Tut's curse, no magic hides it, only stories pull, like the wow, signals mystery. The debate's longevity lies in its mystery, as 360 BCE texts, per 300 CE copies, endure, unlike Rome's fall by 476 CE. Its absence, unlike Tikal's glyphs, invites speculation, like Rongo Rongo's chants. Dives, like 1870s Mediterranean searches, found no trace, per logs, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The tale, unlike the Nazca Line's plane, drew 1800s awe, with Ignatius Donnelly's 1882 book calling it a lost truth. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a quiet quest, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in fragments. Plato's 360 BCE pillars, per Strabo's 20 BCE texts, point to the Mediterranean, unlike the Longyu cave stone. Thera's 1600 BCE ash, per Santorini digs, buries homes, unlike the Rosetta Stone script. NASA's 1700 BCE ships, per frescoes, suggest sea might, unlike the crystal skull's quartz. A 600 BCE Egyptian tale, per Herodotus, hints at a lost island, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. Atlantic charts, per 1600s maps, show no ruins, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no site claims Atlantis, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. The story's allure, unlike the Vinland Maps map, captivates, while 360 BC roots, unlike the Rosetta Stone clarity, blur truth. Greek tales from 300 BCE, per Diodorus, speak of a sea's lost star, but offer no harbor, only dreams, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's gold, seeks not wealth but wonder, like the wow. Signals note, the Atlantis debate's legacy is its endless horizon. Unlike the Indus equal homes, it shows a chase for truth, it sees a spark of curiosity. For scholars, it's a textual riddle. For seekers, a map to the unknown, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its place, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a search that spans ages. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant shores. On a volcanic isle, Thera's ashes stir, its ruin a riddle tied to Atlantis' myth. The Thera Santorini, volcanic eruption possibly inspiring Atlantis myth. Imagine a tranquil island in the Aegean Sea, its whitewashed homes gleaming under the sun, until a mountain roars, splitting the earth and hurling ash across the horizon, sinking parts of the land beneath the waves. The volcanic eruption of Thera, now Santorini, around 1600 BCE, devastated the Minoan settlement of Akrotiri and reshaped the Mediterranean world. Dated by radiocarbon and ash layers, this cataclysm, one of history's largest, has been linked to Plato's 360 BC tale of Atlantis, a city lost to divine wrath. Unlike the centuries-long hunt for Atlantis' elusive location, this is a story of fire and ruin, a real disaster that may have birthed a myth. As we walk its imagined shores, we're drawn into a tale of destruction, survival, and a legend born from ashes. The Thera eruptions linked to Atlantis emerged in the 1900s, with Akrotiri 1600 BC ruins, excavated in 1967, revealing a Minoan city buried under 60 feet of ash, per Archaeological Society reports. The eruption, dated to 1627 to 1600 BCE by tree rings, ejected 60 cubic miles of material, per 1900s volcanic studies. Plato's Critias, from 360 BCE, describes Atlantis sinking after divine punishment, echoing Thera's collapse. Unlike Harappa's 2600 BCE bricks, these are pumice-covered ruins, like the Rosetta Stone granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're a frozen moment, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The Minoan world, circa 1600 BCE, was a maritime hub, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Akrotiri 1600 BCE frescoes, per excavation finds, show ships, unlike Taos' quiet artisans. Crete's Knossos, 50 miles away, ruled seas, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The Minoans, traders, and artists thrived on commerce, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. The eruption, per ash layers, disrupted trade, unlike Tikal's warring states. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a shared catastrophe. Its echo a cultural scar, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The eruption's relics are vivid. Akrotiri 1600 BC homes, with 3-story walls, hold pottery under ash, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. There is 1600 BCE caldera, 7 miles wide, per excavation maps, marks collapse, unlike the Pyrie Reese maps parchment. Frescoes showing fleets lie shattered, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Tsunami deposits, per 1600 BCE coastal finds, reach Crete, unlike the shroud's linen. No bodies remain, suggesting evacuation, unlike the diet law passes grim scene. The disaster struck around 1600 BCE, as Akrotiri 1600 BCE homes, per ash layers, were buried in days, unlike Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Tsunamis per 1600 BCE sediment flooded Crete's ports, unlike the Longu Cave's chisels. Trade per 1600 BCE pottery gaps halted, unlike the Kailasa temple's reliefs. The Minoans per 1500 BCE Knossos decline, weakened, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The eruption's shock per ash spread reshaped lives, unlike the Tamam Shikasa's solitude. The Atlantis link sparks theories, with many seeing inspiration, as there is 1600 BCE collapse, per 1967 digs, mirrors Plato's sinking island, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Akrotiri 1600 BCE wealth, per gold finds, fits Atlantis' grandeur, unlike the shroud stains. Others argue distance, as 360 BCE Plato's 9,000-year timeline, unlike 1600 BC Thera, misaligns, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Minoan trade per 1600 BCE Crete seals suggests a naval empire, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose exaggeration, as 600 BC Egyptian tales, per Herodotus, inflate disasters, unlike the Vinland Maps Inc. A few see no link, yet their scale, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, captivates. Unlike Tut's curse, no god strike, only Earth's fury, like the Wow, signals mystery. The theory's endurance owes to its drama, as 1600 BCE ash, per 1900s digs, spans Egypt, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. There is ruin, unlike Tikal's glyphs, fuels myth, like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1967 Akrotiri, found no kings, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The link, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1900s awe, with Marinato's 1939 papers calling Thera Atlantis' spark. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a disaster's legacy, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the earth. Akrotiri 1600 BCE fresco, per ship scenes, show sea power, unlike the Longu Cave stone. There is 1600 BCE pumice, per coastal finds, reach Syria, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Crete's 1600 BCE port, per tsunami debris, lies ruined, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 360 BCE Plato text, per Siamud, echoes Thera's ash, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. Knossos' 1500 BC decline, per pottery, ties to shock, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no text confirms a link, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike Tikal's kings. Thera's might, unlike the Vinland Maps map, Oz, while 360 BC tales, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, blur truth. Greek tales from 300 BCE, per Diodorus, speak of an isle drowned, but offer no ash, only dreams, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's gold, seeks not wealth but origins, like the Wow. Signals note, Thera's legacy is its fiery echo. Unlike Atlantis' debated seas, it shows a people lost in nature's wrath. Its ruins a spark of wonder. For archaeologists, it's a buried city. For dreamers, a myth's root like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its tie to Atlantis, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a ruin that shaped a tale. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant jungles. In Maya lands, city-states crumble, their fall a riddle of time and tide. The collapse of the southern Maya city-states around the 9th century CE. Imagine a jungle city where stone pyramids pierce the canopy, their plazas alive with priests chanting to the stars, only for vines to creep over silent temples as the people vanish. The southern Maya city-states, flourishing in modern-day Guatemala, Belize, and Mexico from 250 to 900 CE, saw centers like Tikal, Palenque, and Copan abandoned by the 9th century, dated by stele and pottery records. This collapse, marking the end of the classic Maya period, left grand ruins swallowed by forest. Unlike the volcanic ash that buried Thera's Atlantis myth, this is a tale of fading kingdoms. There fall a riddle of human and natural forces. As we tread their imagined paths, we're drawn into a story of splendor, struggle, and a civilization that slipped into shadow. The collapse was uncovered in the 1800s, with Tikal's 800 CE stele, found in 1848, ceasing by 900 CE per Archaeological Institute logs. Palenque's 700 CE palaces, excavated in 1830, lay empty by 850 CE per glyph records. Copan's 800 CE altars, per 1890s digs, show no 10th century carvings. By 900 CE, populations dwindled per 1900 surveys, leaving 90% of sites deserted. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are vast ruins, their stones moss-covered, like the Rosetta Stone granite. Unlike the Nazca Line sprawling art, they're intricate, each glyph a memory, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The Maya world, circa 800 CE, was a constellation of cities, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Tikal's 50,000 residents, per plaza finds, traded jade, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Palenque's 700 CE temples, per frescoes, house priests, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The Maya, farmers and scribes, revered kings, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Their city-states, per 800 CE stele, competed fiercely, unlike the Indus unity. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for eternity, these were vibrant hubs, their collapse a cultural wound, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The ruins are majestic. Tikal's 800 CE Temple Eye, 47 meters tall, looms over plazas, unlike Roman dodecahedron bronze. Palenque's 700 CE palace, with carved reliefs, spans 100 meters, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Copan's 800 CE hieroglyphic stairway, 63 steps long, tells of kings, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Cenotes, per 900 CE bone finds, hold offerings, unlike the shroud's linen. The cities, per 1900s maps, lack late defenses, unlike the Diet Law passes grim scene. The collapse began by 800 CE, as Tikal's 869 CE stela, per inscriptions, marks the last king, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Palenque's 800 CE glyphs, per 1830s finds, halt by 850 CE, unlike the Longu Cave's chisels. Copan's 800 CE plazas, per pottery gaps, empty by 900 CE, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. Populations, per 900 CE village finds, shifted north, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The decline, per 1900 surveys, spanned decades, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The collapse sparks theories, with many citing drought, as 800 to 900 CE pollen, per lake cores, shows dry seasons, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Warfare, per 800 CE Tikal carvings of captives, bled cities, unlike the shroud stains. Other see overpopulation, as 800 CE field scars, per 1900s digs, suggest strained land, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Deforestation, per 900 CE soil erosion, weakened farms, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose social unrest, as 850 CE Palenque's defaced statue suggests revolt, yet no mass graves, unlike the Vinland Maps Inc., remain. A few see religious crisis, as 900 CE cenote offerings surge, but no texts, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, explain. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only tangled woes like the wow, signals mystery. The collapse's roots lie in fragility as 800 CE farms, per canal finds, leaned on rains, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The Maya's fall, per 1900s digs, left no chronicles, unlike the Indus seals, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1848 Tikal, found empty homes, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The ruins, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1800s awe, with Stephen's 1841 book calling them lost cities. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a kingdom's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in stone. Tikal's 869 CE stela, per glyphs, names no heir, unlike the Lonyu Caves carvings. Palenque's 800 CE temple, per broken altars, shows neglect, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Copen's 900 CE plaza, per sparse pots, marks abandonment, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 900 CE cenote, per jade finds, holds desperate gifts, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 850 CE Tikal carving of a bound lord hints at strife, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Indus fields. The city's splendor, unlike the Vinland Maps map, awes, while 900 CE silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Yucatan tales from 1700 speak of cities eaten by jungle, but offer no kings, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but answers, like the wow. Signals note. The Maya collapse's legacy is its silent grandeur. Unlike Thera's volcanic ruin, it shows a people tested by time, their pyramids a spark of resilience. For archaeologists, it's a fallen realm. For dreamers, a lost dream, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its fall, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to cities that time reclaimed. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from those same jungles. In parched fields, Maya droughts weave a deeper tale of survival and loss. Prolonged droughts affecting Maya agriculture and society. Imagine a Maya farmer gazing at a cloudless sky, his maize fields wilting under a merciless sun, as the cenote's water dwindles to a muddy trickle. The southern Maya city-states, thriving in modern-day Guatemala, Belize, and Mexico from 250 to 900 CE, depended on agriculture to sustain cities like Tikal, Palenque, and Copan. Prolonged droughts, dated 800 to 900 CE by lake sediment and pollen records, parched their lands, straining food supplies and unraveling social bonds. Unlike the abandoned pyramids of the Maya collapse, this is a story of nature's relentless grip, a slow squeeze that tested a civilization's heart. As we walk their imagined fields, we're drawn into a tale of resilience, scarcity, and a society reshaped by thirst. The drought's impact was uncovered in the 1900s, with Tikal's 800 CE fields, per 1950s excavations, showing 900 CE pollen of sparse maize, per Archaeological Institute reports. Palenque's 700 CE canals, per 1930s digs, dried by 850 CE per sediment layers. Copan's 800 CE cenotes, per 1890s finds, held 900 CE silt, indicating low water. By 900 CE, per 1900 surveys, cities lost 90% of residents. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are barren soils, cracked by time, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're fragile, each stalk a plea, like the Taos hum's unseen pulse. The Maya world, circa 800 CE, was a lush mosaic, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Tikal's 50,000 people, per plaza finds, grew maize, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Palenque's 700 CE priests, per glyphs, prayed for rain, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The Maya farmers and kings relied on crops, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Their cities, per 800 CE Stele, faced rivalry, unlike the Indus harmony. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for eternity, these were living fields, they're drying a cultural wound like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The drought's traces are stark. Tikal's 900 CE fields, per soil cores, show salt crusts, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Palenque's 850 CE canals, per 1930s finds, lie choked, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Copen's 900 CE cenote, per bone fragments, hold sparse offerings, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Pollen, per 900 CE lake samples, shows grass over maize, unlike the shroud's linen. Villages, per 900 CE pottery, shrank, unlike the diet law passes grim scene. The drought struck by 800 CE, with Tikal's 820 to 870 CE lake cores, per 1950 studies, showing low rainfall, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Palenque's 850 CE farms, per dry channels, yielded less, unlike the Longyu Cave's chisels. Copen's 900 CE fields, per stunted seeds, starred, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. Populations, per 900 CE northern finds, fled, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The crisis, per 1900s records, spanned decades, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The drought's role sparks theories, with many citing crop failure as 900 CE pollen, per lake studies, shows 50% less maize, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Famine, per 900 CE thin bones, weaken cities, unlike the shroud stains. Others see social strain as 850 CE Palenque glyphs, per the face lords, suggest unrest, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Migration, per 900 CE northern sites, followed water, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose ritual failure, as 900 CE Copen cenotes, per jade piles, showed desperate pleas, yet no rain, unlike the Vinland map's ink, fell. A few sea war as drought-fueled raids, per 800 CE Tikal captives, but no battles, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes dominate. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only nature's toll like the wow, signals mystery. The drought's impact endures due to reliance, as 800 CE farms, per terrace finds, needed monsoons, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The Maya's fall, per 1900s digs, left no rain tails, unlike the Indus rivers, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations like 1950s Tikal found dry reservoirs, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The crisis, unlike the Nazca Line's plain, drew 1900s awe, with Thompson's 1897 notes calling it a land forsaken. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a people's quiet struggle like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the earth. Tikal's 900 CE reservoir, per silt layers, lies empty, unlike the Longyu Cave stone. Palenque's 850 CE field, per scorched maize, marks hunger, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Copen's 900 CE cenote, per sparse fish bones, shows scarcity, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 900 CE Tikal stela, per faint glyphs, halts mid-rain, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 850 CE Palenque bone, per thin marrow, tells of want, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single drought explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Indus fields. The Maya's bounty, unlike the Vinland map's map, Oz, while 900 CE thirst, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Yucatan tales from 1700 speak of skies that burned, but offer no wells, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but survival like the wow. Signals note, the drought's legacy is their silent weight. Unlike the Maya's fallen cities, they show a people fighting nature, their field a spark of endurance. For archaeologists, it's a lesson in fragility. For dreamers, a tale of hope, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their impact, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a civilization parched by time. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from those same jungles. In clashing spears, Maya wars weave a deeper tale of strife and loss. Warfare and conflict among Maya city-states contributing to decline. Imagine a jungle clearing where warriors clash, their obsidian blades glinting under a canopy of stars, as rival cities vie for power in a land strained by drought. The southern Maya city-states, flourishing in modern-day Guatemala, Belize, and Mexico from 250 to 900 CE, saw escalating warfare among centers like Tikal, Calakmul, and Copan, dated to 700 to 900 CE by steely and skeletal remains. These conflicts, intensifying as resources dwindled, contributed to the collapse of the classic Maya period. Unlike the parched fields of Maya droughts, this is a tale of human strife, a cycle of battles that fractured a civilization. As we tread their imagined battlegrounds, we're drawn into a story of rivalry, sacrifice, and society undone by its own swords. The role of warfare was uncovered in the 1900s with Tikal's 800 CE stele, found in 1848, depicting bound captives per Archaeological Institute records. Calakmul's 700 CE murals per 1930s digs show defeated lords, dated to 750 CE. Copan's 800 CE skeletons per 1890s finds bear blade marks, indicating 850 to 900 CE violence. By 900 CE, per 1900 surveys, major cities stood empty. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are scarred stones etched with conflict, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're grim, each carving a cry, like the Taoshum's unseen pulse. The Maya world, circa 800 CE, was a web of rivalries, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Tikal's 50,000 residents, per plaza fines, fought for maize, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Calakmul's 700 CE kings, per glyphs, sought dominance, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The Maya, warriors and priests, revered power, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Their cities, per 800 CE inscriptions, clashed often, unlike the Indus unity. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for eternity, these were battlegrounds, their wars a cultural wound, like the D.B. Cooper's Leap. The evidence is vivid. Tikal's 800 CE Temple II, per 1848 finds, bears captive reliefs, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Calakmul's 750 CE mural, per 1930s digs, shows speared foes, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Copan's 850 CE bones, per 1890s reports, have cut marks, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Fortifications, per 900 CE Tikal walls, rose late, unlike the shroud's linen. Stele, per 800 CE texts, boasts conquests, unlike the Diet Law passes grim scene. The conflicts escalated by 700 CE, with Tikal's 738 CE stela, per glyphs, naming Calakmul's defeat, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Calakmul's 750 CE raids, per mural finds, hit allies, unlike the Longyou Cave chisels. Copen's 850 CE graves, per skeletal trauma, show massacres, unlike the Kailasa temple's reliefs. Cities, per 900 CE pottery gaps, emptied, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The wars, per 1900 studies, span centuries, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. Warfare's role sparks theories, with many citing resource strain as 800 CE droughts, per lake cores, fuel raids for maize, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Rivalry, per 750 CE Kalakmul glyphs, bled armies, unlike the Shroud stains. Others see elite greed, as 800 CE Tikal Stele, per kingly boasts, show power grabs, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Disruption, per 850 CE Copen trade gaps, starved cities, unlike the Oak Islands coins. Some propose rebellion, as 850 CE Palenque's defaced lord suggests, yet no uprisings, unlike the Vinland maps ink dominate. A few see external foes, but no foreign tools, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, appear. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice alone fits, only strife's toll like the wow. Signals mystery. The war's impact endures due to their scale, as 800 CE battles, per 1900s digs, span regions, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The Maya's fall, per 1848 finds, left no peace tales, unlike the Indus fields, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1930s Kalakmul, found broken spears, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The strife, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1800s awe, with Stephen's 1841 book calling it a warrior's end. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a kingdom's fierce fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in stone. Tikal 738 CE Stela, per captive glyphs, names arrivals fall, unlike the Lonyu Caves carvings. Kalakmul 750 CE mural, per bloodied lords, shows defeat, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. Copen's 850 CE skull, per blade scars, marks violence, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 900 CE Tikal wall, per late bricks, hints at fear, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 850 CE Palenque statue, per smashed face, tells of rage, unlike the Shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single war explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Indus rivers. The Maya's might, unlike the Vinland maps map, awes, while 900 CE strife, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Yucatan tales from 1700 speak of cities torn by spears, but offer no swords, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but peace, like the wow. Signals note, the war's legacy is their fierce echo. Unlike the Maya's drought-stricken fields, they show a people divided by ambition, their blades a spark of passion. For archaeologists, it's a clash of crowns. For dreamers, a saga struggle like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their role, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a civilization that fought itself to silence. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant deserts. In Chaco Canyon, a people abandon their great houses, their departure a riddle of dust and stars. The abandonment of Chaco Canyon by the ancestral Puebloans. Imagine a desert canyon where great stone houses rise against the sky, their walls echoing with the songs of a thriving community, only for silence to settle as the hearts grow cold and the people vanish. Chaco Canyon, in modern-day New Mexico, was a cultural and economic hub for the ancestral Puebloans from 850 to 1250 CE. Dated by tree rings and pottery. By the late 1200s, its grand structures, like Pueblo Bonito, stood empty, their residents gone without a trace. Unlike the clashing spears of Maya city-states, this is a mystery of quiet departure, a society that left its monumental homes behind. As we wandered imagined plazas, we're drawn into a tale of harmony, hardship, and a canyon that holds its secrets close. The abandonment was uncovered in the 1890s, with Pueblo Bonito's 1100 CE rooms, excavated in 1896, showing number 1300 CE artifacts, per American Museum records. Chaco's 1000 CE roads, per 1920 surveys, led to empty outposts by 1250 CE. Tree ring data, per 1900 studies, marked droughts from 1130 to 1180 CE, coinciding with sparse pottery. By 1300 CE, per 1900's digs, the canyon was deserted. Unlike the Mary Celeste's ghostly decks, these are vast ruins, their stone sun-bleached like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're precise, each beam a memory, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. Chaco Canyon, circa 1100 CE, was a desert nexus, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Pueblo Bonito's 800 rooms, per 1896 finds, house hundreds, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Chaco's 1000 CE trade, per turquoise beads, linked distant tribes, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The Puebloans, farmers and builders, revered stars, unlike the Maya's wars. Their society, per communal kivas, foster unity, unlike Tikal's rivalry. Unlike Tut's tomb, seal for kings, these were shared spaces. Their loss a cultural sigh, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The ruins are striking. Pueblo Bonito's 1100 CE walls, 3 feet thick, span 500 feet, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Chaco's 1000 CE roads, per 1920s maps, stretch 30 miles, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Kivas, per 1890s digs, hold ash from 1100 CE fires, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Storage rooms, per 1200 CE maize traces, stand empty, unlike the shroud's linen. The sites, per 1900 surveys, lack late tools, unlike the diet law passes grim scene. The abandonment began by 1150 CE, as Pueblo Bonito's 1200 CE rooms, per 1896 finds, show no new pottery, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Chaco's 1130 CE trees, per ring gaps, mark drought, unlike the Lawn Cave's chisels. Outposts, per 1250 CE sparse beads, were left behind, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. People, per 1300 CE Mesa Verde finds, moved north, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The Exodus, per 1900 studies, spanned decades, unlike the Tamam-Shikesa solitude. The abandonment sparks theories, with many citing drought, as 1130 to 1180 CE tree rings, per 1900's data, show dry years, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Famine, per 1200 CE sparse maize, strained communities, unlike the shroud stains. Others see social shifts as 1150 CE Kiva changes, per 1890s digs, suggest new rights, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Migration, per 1300 CE northern sites, followed water, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose conflict, as 1200 CE burned beams at outposts hint at raids, yet no mass graves, unlike the Vinland map's ink, remain. A few see religious change, as 1200 CE Kiva murals faded, but no texts, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, explain. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only life's pull like the wow, signals mystery. The abandonment's roots lie in fragility, as 1100 CE farms, per terrace finds, needed rain, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. Chaco's fall, per 1890s digs, left no war tales, unlike the Maya's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations like 1896 Pueblo Bonito found empty jars, unlike the Iron Pillars script. The ruins, unlike the Nazca lines playing, drew 1800s awe, with Hyde's 1896 notes calling him a desert's ghost. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a people's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in stone. Pueblo Bonito's 1200 CE room, per ash absence, shows cold hearths, unlike the Lawn UK's carvings. Chaco's 1150 CE road, per broken pottery, ends abruptly, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1200 CE kiva, per faint paint, marks disuse, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 1300 CE Mesa Verde pot, per Chaco-style clay, hints at flight, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1200 CE beam, per burn marks, suggests strife, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Maya's wars. Chaco's grandeur, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1300 CE silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Navajo tales from 1700 speak of houses left to spirits, but offer no footprints, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but home, like the wow. Signals note, Chaco's legacy is its silent harmony. Unlike the Maya's warring cities, it shows a people bound by stars, their stones a spark of community. For archaeologists, it's a lost hub, for dreamers a desert dream, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their departure, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a canyon that time reclaimed. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from those same deserts. Across the four corners, the Puebloans vanish, their path a riddle of dust and wind. The disappearance of the ancestral Puebloans from the Four Corners region. Imagine a vast desert where cliff dwellings cling to canyon walls, their hearts glowing with the warmth of families, only for the winds to carry away their voices, leaving empty homes beneath the stars. The ancestral Puebloans, thriving in the Four Corners region of modern-day Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico from 700 to 1300 CE, built vibrant communities like those at Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon. By 1300 CE, dated by tree rings and pottery, they vanished from the region, their settlements abandoned. Unlike the silent great houses of Chaco Canyon, this is a broader mystery of a people's exodus, their path lost in the dust. As we trace their imagined trails, we're drawn into a tale of adaptation, survival, and a land left behind. The disappearance was uncovered in the 1880s, with Mesa Verde's 1200 CE cliff dwellings excavated in 1888, showing number 1300 CE artifacts, per Smithsonian records. Chaco's 1100 CE outposts, per 1890s digs, lack late pottery by 1250 CE. Tree ring data, per 1900 studies, marked droughts from 1276 to 1299 CE, aligning with sparse finds. By 1300 CE, per 1920 surveys, the region was empty. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are scattered ruins, their stones weathered, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're intimate, each kiva a whisper, like the Taos hum's unseen pulse. The Four Corners, circa 1200 CE, was a cultural crossroads, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Mesa Verde's 2,500 residents, per 1888 finds, grew maize, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Chaco's 1,000 CE trade, per turquoise beads, bound tribes, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The Puebloans, farmers and weavers, honored spirits, unlike the Maya's wars. Their villages, per communal plazas, fostered kinship, unlike Tikal's rivalry. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, These were shared homes. Their loss a cultural sigh, like the D.B. Cooper's Leap. The ruins are evocative. Mesa Verde's 1200 CE Cliff Palace, with 150 rooms, nestles in alcoves, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Chaco's 1100 CE Pueblo Bonito, per 1896 digs, spans 500 feet, unlike the Pyrie Reese Map's parchment. Kiva's, per 1888 finds, hold 1200 CE ash, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Storage pits, per 1250 CE maize traces, lie empty, unlike the shroud's linen. The sites, per 1900s maps, lack late tools, unlike the Diet Law Pass's grim scene. The exodus began by 1200 CE, as Mesa Verde's 1270 CE homes, per 1888 finds, show no new pottery, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Chaco's 1250 CE roads, per 1920 surveys, led to deserted villages, unlike the Lawn Cave's chisels. Northern sites, per 1300 CE Hopi finds, grew, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. People, per 1300 CE Arizona pottery, moved south, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The shift, per 1900 studies, spanned decades, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The disappearance sparks theories, with many citing drought, as 1276 to 1299 CE tree rings, per 1900s data, show dry years, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Famine, per 1250 CE sparse seeds, strain villages, unlike the shroud stains. Others see conflict, as 1270 CE Mesa Verde bones, per cut marks, suggest raids, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Migration, per 1300 CE Hopi oral tales, followed water, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose social change, as 1250 CE Kiva shifts, per 1888 digs, hint at new beliefs, yet no texts, unlike the Vinland Maps Inc., explain. A few see disease, but no mass graves, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, remain. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only life's call, like the wow, signals mystery. The Exodus's roots lie in dependence, as 1200 CE farms, per terrace finds, relied on rains, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The Puebloans' departure, per 1888 digs, left no war tales, unlike the Maya's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1896 Chaco, found empty pots, unlike the Iron Pillar's script. The ruins, unlike the Nazca Line's plane, drew 1800s awe, with Nerdenskiold's 1891 book calling them a people's flight. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a culture's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the earth. Mesa Verde's 1270 CE Kiva, per ash absence, shows cold fires, unlike the Lawn UK's carvings. Chaco's 1250 CE storage, per 1896 finds, holds no grain, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1270 CE bone, per blade scars, hints at strife, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 1300 CE Hopi pot, per Mesa Verde clay, marks new homes, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1250 CE Cliff Palace room, per broken tools, tells of haste, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Maya's wars. The region's beauty, unlike the Vinland Maps map, awes, while 1300 CE silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Navajo tales from 1700 speak of those who walked away, but offer no trails, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but roots, like the wow. Signals note, the Puebloans' legacy is their quiet resilience. Unlike Chaco's deserted canyon, they show a people seeking new horizons, their homes a spark of endurance. For archaeologists, It's a lost world, for dreamers, a journey's echo, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their departure, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a people who follow the wind. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant plains. In Cahokia's mounds, a city fades, its decline a riddle of earth and time. The lost city of Cahokia and its sudden decline. Imagine a city of earth and mounds rising from the Mississippi floodplain, where thousands gather under the shadow of a great pyramid, their voices carrying across bustling markets, only for plazas to fall silent as the people drift away. Cahokia, in modern-day Illinois, was the heart of the Mississippian culture, thriving from 800 to 1350 CE, dated by pottery and charcoal. At its peak around 1100 CE, it housed 20,000 people, rivaling European cities. Yet by 1400 CE, it was largely abandoned, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' desert exodus. This is a mystery of metropolis fading into the earth, its decline a riddle of prosperity and loss. As we wander to imagined mounds, we're drawn into a tale of ambition, fragility, and a city reclaimed by time. The decline of Cahokia was uncovered in the 1800s with Monk's Mound, a 100-foot pyramid excavated in 1831, showing number 1400 CE artifacts, per American Antiquarian Society records. Cahokia's 1100 CE plazas, per 1920s digs, lack late pottery by 1350 CE. Charcoal, per 1900 studies, dates final fires to 1300 CE, aligning with sparse finds. By 1400 CE, per 1960 surveys, the city was empty. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are vast earthworks, their slopes grass-covered, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're monumental, each mound memory, like the Taushum's unseen pulse. Cahokia, circa 1100 CE, was a cultural hub, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Its 120 mounds, per 1831 finds, frame markets, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Cahokia's 1000 CE trade, per shell beads, spanned the Gulf, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The Mississippians, farmers and priests, revered the sun, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Their society, per 1100 CE palisades, balanced order and ritual, unlike Tikal's rivalry. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, these were public spaces, their loss a cultural echo, like the D.B. Cooper's Leap. The ruins are grand. Monk's Mound, per 1831 digs, covers 14 acres, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Cahokia's 1100 CE Woodhenge, per 1960s finds, spans 400 feet, unlike the Pyrie Reese maps parchment. Plazas, per 1920s maps, hold 1100 CE post holes, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Homes, per 1300 CE ash traces, stand empty, unlike the shroud's linen. The site, per 1900 surveys, lacks late tools, unlike the Diet Law Pass's grim scene. The decline began by 1200 CE, as Monk's Mound's 1300 CE terraces, per 1831 finds, showed no new layers, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Cahokia's 1250 CE fields, per 1920 soil samples, grew sparse, unlike the Longview Cave's chisels. Trade, per 1300 CE bead gaps, faded, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. People, per 1400 CE Ohio finds, moved east, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The collapse, per 1960 studies, spanned a century, unlike the Tamam Shidkesa solitude. The decline sparks theories, with many citing environmental stress, as 1200 to 1300 CE pollen, per 1900s data, shows less maize, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Floods, per 1300 CE river silt, drowned fields, unlike the shroud stains. Others see social unrest as 1250 CE palisade repairs, per 1960s digs, suggest tension, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Migration, per 1400 CE southern sites, followed resources, unlike the Oak Islands coins. Some propose conflict as 1300 CE bones, per blade marks, hint at raids, yet no wars, unlike the Vinland maps ink dominate. A few see ritual failure, as 1300 CE Woodhenge posts fell, but no texts, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, explain. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only time's weight, like the wow, signals mystery. The decline's roots lie in balance, as 1100 CE farms, per terrace finds, leaned on rivers, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. Cahokia's fall, per 1831 digs, left no war tales, unlike the Maya's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1920s plazas, found empty pits, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The mounds, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1800s awe, with Squire's 1848 book calling them a city of earth. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a culture's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in the soil. Monk's Mound's 1300 CE slope, per 1831 finds, shows erosion, unlike the Longview Caves carvings. Cahokia's 1250 CE plaza, per 1920s post holes, lies bare, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1300 CE bone, per stress lines, marks hunger, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 1400 CE Ohio pot, per Cahokia-style clay, hints at flight, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1300 CE Woodhenge post, per rot traces, tells of neglect, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Maya's wars. Cahokia's scale, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1400 CE silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Illinois tales from 1700 speak of hills that slept, but offer no hearths, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but roots, like the wow. Signals note. Cahokia's legacy is its earthen pulse. Unlike the Puebloan's cliffside flight, it shows a people shaping the land, their mounds a spark of vision. For archaeologists, it's a lost capital. For dreamers, a city of dreams, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of its decline, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a metropolis time reclaimed. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from those same rivers. Across the Mississippi's banks, a culture fades, its end a riddle of earth and sky. The collapse of the Mississippian culture in North America. Imagine a riverside village where earthen mounds cast long shadows over maize fields, their people weaving baskets and chanting under the stars, only for fires to fade and the land to reclaim their homes. The Mississippian culture, flourishing across modern-day southeastern and midwestern United States from 800 to 1600 CE, built vibrant societies centered on cities like Cahokia, Moundville, and Etowah. By 1500 CE, dated by pottery and charcoal, many of these centers were abandoned, their people dispersed or diminished. Unlike the silent mounds of Cahokia's decline, this is a broader mystery of a cultural tapestry unraveling, its threads lost to time. As we wander at imagined riverbanks, we're drawn into a tale of prosperity, upheaval, and a way of life that slipped away. The collapse was uncovered in the 1800s, with Moundville's 1200 CE mounds excavated in 1869, showing number 1500 CE artifacts per Smithsonian Records. Etowah's 1100 CE platforms per 1880s digs lack late pottery by 1450 CE. Charcoal Per 1900 studies, dates final fires at Cahokia to 1300 CE, with regional sites following by 1500 CE. By 1600 CE, per 1920 surveys, most mound centers were deserted. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are scattered earthworks, their slopes overgrown, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're solemn, each mound a memory, like the Taos hum's unseen pulse. The Mississippian world, circa 1200 CE, was a network of villages. Unlike the 1947 War of the Black Dahlia, Moundville's 2,000 residents, per 1869 finds, traded copper, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Etowah's 1,000 CE chiefs, per burial goods, led rituals, unlike the Flannan Isle's stormy rocks. The Mississippians, farmers and artisans, revered the sun, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Their society, per 1100 CE mound layouts, balanced power and faith, unlike Tikal's rivalry. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, these were communal lands. Their loss a cultural sigh, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The ruins are striking. Moundville's 1200 CE plaza, per 1,869 digs, spans 7 acres, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Etowah's 1100 CE Mound A, per 1880's finds, rises 60 feet, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Cahokia's 1100 CE Woodhenge, per 1960's maps, holds 1,300 CE post holes, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Homes, per 1,400 CE ash traces, stand empty, unlike the shroud's linen. The sites, per 1900 surveys, lack late tools, unlike the Diet Law Pass's grim scene. The collapse began by 1300 CE, as Cahokia's 1350 CE mounds, per 1831 finds, show no new layers, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Moundville's 1400 CE fields, per 1869 soil samples, grew sparse, unlike the Lawnu Cave chisels. Etowah's 1450 CE burials, per 1880's digs, dwindled, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. People, per 1500 CE Ohio finds, moved north, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The decline, per 1920 studies, spanned centuries, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The collapse sparks theories, with many citing environmental stress, as 1300 to 1400 CE pollen, per 1900's data, shows less maize, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Floods, per 1400 CE river silt, swamp farms, unlike the shroud stains. Others see conflict, as 1350 CE Etowah bones, per blade marks, suggest raids, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Migration, per 1500 CE southern sites, followed game, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose social breakdown, as 1400 CE Moundville sparse plazas, per 1869 digs, hint at unrest, yet no revolts, unlike the Vinland map's ink remain. A few see disease, as 1450 CE burials, per few use, suggest illness, but no plague pits, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, exist. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only life's ebb, like the wow, signals mystery. The collapse's roots lie in fragility, as 1200 CE farms, per terrace finds, lean on rivers, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The Mississippian's fall, per 1869 digs, left no war tales, unlike the Maya's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations like 1880's Etowah found empty hearths, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The mounds, unlike the Nazca Line's plain, drew 1800's awe, with Thomas's 1894 book calling them a culture's grave. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a people's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isle's light. Clues linger in the earth. Moundville's 1400 CE mound, per 1869 finds shows erosion, unlike the Longview Caves carvings. Etowah's 1450 CE Plaza, per 1880's post holes, lies bare, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1350 CE Cahokia bone, per stress lines, marks hunger, unlike the Crystal Skulls quartz. A 1500 CE Tennessee pot, per Moundville-style clay, hints at flight, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1400 Etowah bead, per broken string, tells of haste, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Maya's wars. The culture's reach, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1500 CE silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Cherokee tales from 1700 speak of mounds left to spirits, but offer no villages, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but roots, like the wow. Signals note, the Mississippians' legacy is their earthen dreams. Unlike Cahokia's lonely mounds, they show a people shaping rivers, their platforms a spark of faith. For archaeologists, it's a lost era. For dreamers, a saga of endurance, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their collapse, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a culture time reclaimed. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant cliffs. In Mesa Verde's alcoves, dwellings stand empty, their silence a riddle of stone and sky. The deserted cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde. Imagine a canyon wall where stone homes nestle in shadowy alcoves, their hearts flickering with the warmth of families weaving tales under starless skies, only for silence to settle as the rooms grow cold and the people vanish. The cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde in modern-day Colorado were built by the ancestral Puebloans between 1150 and 1300 CE, dated by tree rings and pottery. Sites like Cliff Palace and Spruce Tree House, once home to hundreds, stood empty by 1300 CE, their residents gone without a trace. Unlike the earthen mounds of the Mississippian culture, this is a mystery of intimate shelters abandoned in the cliffs, a story of a people who left their homes to the wind. As we climb their imagined ladders, we're drawn into a tale of refuge, resilience, and a desert that holds its secrets close. The desertion was uncovered in the 1880s, with Cliff Palace's 1200 CE rooms excavated in 1888, showing number 1300 CE artifacts for Smithsonian records. Spruce Tree House, per 1891 digs, lacklate pottery by 1280 CE. Tree ring data, per 1900 studies, mark droughts from 1276 to 1299 CE, aligning with sparse finds. By 1300 CE, per 1920 surveys, the alcoves were deserted. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are delicate ruins, their stone sun-warmed, like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're hidden, each room a whisper, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. Mesa Verde, circa 1200 CE, was a highland haven, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. Cliff Palace's 150 rooms, per 1888 finds, housed 100 people, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Mesa Verde's 1150 CE trade, per turquoise beads, linked Chaco, unlike the Flannan Isle's stormy rocks. The Puebloans, farmers and potters, honored spirits, unlike the Mississippians' mounds. Their villages, per communal kivas, foster closeness, unlike Tikal's rivalry. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, these were family homes. Their loss a cultural sigh, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The dwellings are intricate. Cliff Palace's 1200 CE towers, per 1888 digs, rise 20 feet, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. Spruce Tree House's 130 rooms, per 1891 finds, hug the cliff, unlike the Pyrie Reese maps parchment. Kivas, per 1888 excavations, hold 1200 C ash, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Storage bins, per 1280 C maize traces, stand empty, unlike the shroud's linen. The sites, per 1900s maps, lack late tools, unlike the Diet Law Pass's grim scene. The abandonment began by 1250 CE, as Cliff Palace's 1270 CE rooms, per 1888 finds, show no new pottery, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. Spruce Tree House's 1280 CE kivas, per 1891 digs, lack fresh ash, unlike the Longview Cave chisels. Northern sites, per 1300 CE Hopi finds, grew, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. People, per 1300 CE Arizona pottery, moved south, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The Exodus, per 1900 studies, spanned decades, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The desertion sparks theories, with many citing drought, as 1276 to 1299 CE tree rings, per 1900s data, show dry years, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Famine, per 1280 CE sparse seeds, strain families, unlike the shroud stains. Others see conflict, as 1270 CE bones, per 1888 finds, bear cut marks, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Migration, per 1300 CE Hopi oral tales, salt water, unlike the Oak Island's coins. Some propose social change, as 1250 CE Kiva murals, per 1891 digs, faded, yet no texts, unlike the Vinland maps ink explain. A few see disease, but no mass graves, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, remain. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only survival's call, like the wow, signals mystery. The desertion's roots lie in reliance, as 1200 CE farms, per mesa top fields, needed rain, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. Mesa Verde's fall, per 1888 digs, left no war tales, unlike the Maya's glyphs, fading like Rongo Rongo's chants. Excavations, like 1891 Spruce Tree House, found empty jars, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The ruins, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1800s awe, with Nordenskiold's 1891 book calling them cliff ghosts. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a people's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in stone. Cliff Palace's 1270 CE Kiva, per 1888 finds, shows cold hearths, unlike the Longview Cave's carvings. Spruce Tree House's 1280 CE bin, per 1891 digs, holds no grain, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1270 CE bone, per blade scars, hints at strife, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. A 1300 CE Hopi pot, per Mesa Verde clay, marks new homes, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. A 1280 CE Cliff Palace wall, per fallen plaster, tells of haste, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists, as no single cause explains all, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Mississippian's mounds. Mesa Verde's beauty, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1300 CE silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Navajo tales from 1700 speak of homes in the sky, but offer no ladders, only wonder, like Adelaide's beach stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but refuge, like the wow, signals note. Mesa Verde's legacy is its quiet sanctuary. Unlike the Mississippian's riverine mounds, it shows a people embracing cliffs, their homes a spark of ingenuity. For archaeologists, it's a lost village, for dreamers, a haven's echo, like Egypt's cursed tomb. The enigma of their desertion, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a people who left their alcoves to the stars. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from distant shores. On Roanoke's Island, a colony vanishes, its fate a riddle of sea and shadow. The lost colony of Roanoke. Imagine a coastal island where wooden homes stand amid whispering pines, their settlers carving a new life under the vast Atlantic sky, only for the village to lie empty, its people vanish without a trace. The Roanoke colony, established in 1587 on an island in modern-day North Carolina, was England's first attempt at a permanent settlement in the New World, led by John White for 115 men, women, and children. By 1590, when White returned, the colony was deserted, marked only by the word Croton carved on a post per 1590 accounts. Unlike the cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde, this is a mystery of fledgling outpost lost to history, its fate a riddle of hope and shadow. As we walk its imagined shores, we're drawn into a tale of ambition, survival, and a silence that lingers. The disappearance was recorded in 1590, with White's journal, per 1590 manuscripts, noting abandoned homes and number 1587 artifacts, like tools or clothes, per Hakluyt Society logs. The palisade, per 1590 descriptions, bore Croton on a post and Sierra on a tree, dated of 1587 to 1590 by context. No graves or signs of violence, per 1590 reports, were found. By 1600, per colonial records, no trace remained. Unlike the Mary Celeste ghostly decks, these are vanished homes, their timbers rotted like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're fleeting, each carving a clue, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. Roanoke, circa 1587, was a fragile foothold, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. The colony's 115 settlers, per White's 1587 list, fished and farmed, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Roanoke's 1587 trade, per native beads, sought alliance with Croton tribes, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The settlers, artisans, and families dreamed of permanence, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Their outposts, per 1587 maps, stood alone, unlike Tikal's rivalry. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a communal hope. It's lost a cultural echo, like the D.B. Cooper's Leap. The site's traces are scarce. The 1587 palisade, per 1590 accounts, was weathered but intact, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. The Croton post, per White's 1590 journal, stood near dunes, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. Number 1587 homes, per 1800 surveys, survived tides, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. Native sites, per 1600 CE pottery, show English beads, unlike the shroud's linen. The absence of bodies, per 1,590 notes, haunts, unlike the diet law of Pass's grim scene. The vanishing unfolded by 1587, as White's 1587 departure, per his journal, left the colony for supplies, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. His 1590 return, delayed by war, found no settlers, per 1590 logs, unlike the Longview Cave's chisels. Native tales, per 1600's Powhatan reports, spoke of pale stranger south, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. The colony, per 1700's records, faded from maps, unlike the Copper Scrolls metal. The loss, per 1590 accounts, was swift, unlike the Tamam Shikesa solitude. The disappearance sparks theories, with many citing integration, as Croton suggests a move to Hatteras, per 1590 carvings, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. Native sites, per 1600 CE English beads, hint at blending, unlike the shroud stains. Others see attack, as 1586 tensions, per Ralph Lane's notes, angered tribes, yet no bones, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts, remain. Some propose starvation, with 1587 droughts, per tree rings, thinning crops, unlike the Oak Island's coins. A few suggest disease as 1600s native declines, per colonial logs, followed contact, but no graves, unlike the Vinland Maps Inc. show. Others imagine a failed trek, yet no trail, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, survives. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only fate's hand, like the wow, signals mystery. The mystery's endurance lies in its brevity, as 1587 to 1590 accounts, per 1600 CE copies, span mere years, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The colony's silence, unlike the Maya's glyphs, offers no closure, like Rongo Rongo's chants. Searches, like 1700's coastal digs, per Virginia logs, found no trace, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The tale, unlike the Nazca Lines plain, drew 1800's awe, with Lawson's 1709 book noting a vanished hope. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a whisper's fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger in fragments. The 1590 Croton Post, per White's journal, points to a tribe, unlike the Long Caves carvings. Hatteras' 1600 CE pottery, per 1800s finds, holds English clay, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1587 ring, per 1700s native tales, was traded south, unlike the Crystal Skulls quartz. A 1600s Powhatan story of white children, per colonial logs, hints at survivors, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. The island sands, per 1800 surveys, bury no homes, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no trace confirms their fate, like the Mary Celeste crew, unlike the Mississippian's mounds. Roanoke's dream, a new world, Oz, unlike the Vinland Maps map, while 1590's silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Algonquian tales from 1700 speak of ghosts by the sea, but offer no graves, only wonder, like Adelaide's stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but lives, like the wow. Signals note. Roanoke's legacy is its fragile ambition, unlike Mesa Verde's cliffside homes. It shows a people daring the unknown, their outpost a spark of courage. For archaeologists, it's a lost village. For dreamers, a tale of hope like Egypt's silent tomb. The enigma of their loss, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a colony swallowed by time. Yet other enigmas call, their whispers rising from the sea. Aboard the Mary Celeste, a crew vanishes, her decks a riddle of ghost and gale. The Mary Celeste, the ghost ship found abandoned. Imagine a ship adrift on the open sea, her sails tattered but intact, her decks eerily silent, with no trace of the crew who once called her home. The Mary Celeste, a 282-ton brigantine, was found abandoned on December 4th, 1872, in the Atlantic Ocean, roughly 400 miles east of the Azores, by the crew of the Dei Grazia, per 1872 maritime logs. Departing New York on November 7, 1872, with Captain Benjamin Briggs, his family, and 7 crewmen, the ship carried 1,701 barrels of alcohol bound for Genoa, Italy. When discovered, her cargo was mostly intact, but the lifeboat, sexton, and crew were gone, per 1872 salvage reports. Unlike the vanished settlers of Roanoke, this is a mystery of floating enigma, a vessel left to the mercy of the waves. As we step onto her imagined decks, we're drawn into a tale of voyage, loss, and a silence that haunts the sea. The abandonment was documented in 1872 with the Dei Grazia's log, per Admiralty records, noting the Mary Celeste deserted state, dated December 4th, 1872. The ship's log, per 1872 findings, ended November 25th, 1872, 100 miles west of the Azores, with no distress noted. The cargo, per 1872 inspections, lost only 9 barrels, and provisions for 6 months remained, per salvage notes. No blood or damage, per 1872 reports, marred the decks. Unlike the cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde, these are wooden planks, salt-worn like the Rosetta Stone's granite. Unlike the Nazca Line's sprawling art, they're confined, each rope a clue, like the Taos Hum's unseen pulse. The Atlantic of 1872 was a world of sail, unlike the 1947 war of the Black Dahlia. The Mary Celeste's crew, per 1872 manifests, were seasoned sailors, unlike Taos's quiet artisans. Her trade, per 1872 bills, fuel commerce, unlike the Flannan Isles' stormy rocks. The crew, a close-knit group, sought profit, unlike the ancestral Puebloans' migrations. Their ship, per 1872 logs, was sturdy, unlike Tikal's rivalry. Unlike Tut's tomb, sealed for kings, this was a working vessel. Its loss of maritime echo, like the D.B. Cooper's leap. The ship's state is telling. The 1872 cabins, per de Grazia reports, held untouched clothes, unlike Roman dodecahedron's bronze. The lifeboat, per 1872 notes, was missing, unlike the Pyrie Reese map's parchment. The chronometer and papers, per 1872 findings, were gone, unlike the Codex Gigas' vellum. The hold, per 1872 inspections, showed no leaks, unlike the shroud's linen. The sails, slightly torn per 1872 logs, still stood, unlike the diet law of Pass's grim scene. The mystery unfolded in November 1872, as the last log, per 1872 records, marked calm seas, unlike the Bermuda Triangle's wrecks. The de Grazia's 1872 sighting, per court testimony, found no storm damage, unlike the Longview Cave's chisels. The crew's absence, per 1872 reports, left no trace, unlike the Kailasa Temple's reliefs. The ship, per 1873 inquiries, drifted 400 miles in 9 days, unlike the Copper Scrolls medal. The event, per 1872 logs, was swift, unlike the Tamam Shidkesa solitude. The abandonment sparks theories, with many citing panic, as 1872 barrel leaks, per salvage tests, may have released alcohol vapors, sparking explosion fears, unlike the Crystal Skull's tales. The crew, per 1872 logs, took the lifeboat, unlike the shroud stains. Others see piracy, yet no loot, per 1872 cargo counts, was taken, unlike the Rosetta Stone's texts. Some propose mutiny, but Briggs's 1872 reputation, per crew letters, was strong, unlike the Oak Island's coins. A few suggest a waterspout, per 1872 weather patterns, prompting flight, yet no damage, unlike the Vinland map's ink shows. Others imagine sea monsters, but number 1872 accounts, unlike the Mary Celeste ropes, support. Unlike Tut's curse, no malice fits, only Hay's shadow, like the wow, signals mystery. The mystery's endurance lies in its darkness, as 1872 logs, per 1873 times reports, offer no answers, unlike Mahabalipuram's tides. The ship's silence, unlike the Maya's glyphs, haunts, like Rongo Rongo's chants. Searches, like 1872 naval patrols, per Admiralty logs, found no lifeboat, unlike the Iron Pillar script. The tale, unlike the Nazca Line's plane, drew 1800s awe, with Conan Doyle's 1884 story calling it a sea ghost. Unlike the Black Dahlia's tragedy, this is a vessel's quiet fade, like the Flannan Isles light. Clues linger on the boards. The 1872 pump, per de Grazia notes, was sound, unlike the Longview Cave's carvings. The 1872 logbook, per 1872 findings, stopped abruptly, unlike the Rosetta Stone scripts. A 1872 sword, per cabin finds, bore no blood, unlike the Crystal Skull's quartz. The 1872 compass, per 1872 reports, was broken, unlike the Copper Scrolls caves. The 1872 barrels, per 1872 counts, held faint stains, unlike the shroud stains. The enigma persists as no trace of the crew's surfaces, like Roanoke settlers, unlike the Mississippians' mounds. The Mary Celeste journey, unlike the Vinland map's map, awes, while 1872 silence, unlike the Rosetta Stone's clarity, obscures truth. Sailor tales from 1880 speak of a cursed ship, but offer no bones, only wonder, like Adelaide's stranger. The mystery, unlike the money pit's greed, seeks not wealth but souls, like the wow. Signals note, the Mary Celeste's legacy is its ghostly drift. Unlike Roanoke's lost hopes, it shows a crew caught in fate's current, their ship a spark of enigma. For historians, it's a maritime puzzle. For dreamers, a tale the seas embrace, like Egypt's silent tomb. The enigma of her abandonment, like the Rosetta Stone scripts, holds us gently, a testament to a voyage lost to the waves. As we close this journey through the shadows of history, from vanished cities to silent ships, these mysteries weave a tapestry of human endeavor and unanswered questions. Each tale, whether stone or sea, speaks to our longing to understand the past, to trace the footsteps of those who came before. The Mary Celeste sails on in our imagination, her decks a reminder that some secrets are meant to linger, whispering softly as we drift into dreams. Thank you for wandering these enigmas with us, and may their echoes guide you until we meet again under the stars.